light dim. Many clicking past, ain't feeling his hymn. Waiting for the moment, blow up like a piston. Haters gonna hate, but persistence gonna glisten. Hold tight, 20 turn to 100 someday. Laugh in their face, shouting, who wants some pay? Barber Show.
What up? What up? What up? What up, Twitch? What up, PETA? What up, Cosmic? What up, Larry? What up, Old Lobster? What up, bots? What up, lurkers? What up, tiny people in my chatterino? It's your boy. It's your boy. Fellow AI addicts. I don't think I have anything to talk about prior to the thing. So I'm just gonna shut up and push play on the videos because we got a lot to get to. I'm gonna start off with something for the. It's, you know, we talked about aliens. You're probably familiar with the Kardashev scale. So we're just going to touch on that real quick and then go into a new Robert Miles video.
Hey, how's it going? So there's a fun concept called the Kardashev.
Just put the fries in the bag, bro.
Hey, how's it going? So there's a fun concept called the Kardashev scale. Imagine Dragon Ball Z power levels, but for alien civilizations. The concept's a little weird and sometimes slightly misunderstood. I suppose that's fair though. It is an unusual idea. You wouldn't rank how good your friends are based on how many electrical sockets they have in their house, but that's kind of what the Kardashev scale does. So if you've got any cool nerd friends and they keep dropping K-bombs with a hard V and you're not sure how to respond, let me give you some advice. Alright, so what is the Kardashev scale? The Kardashev scale classifies civilizations, like human civilization or hypothetical alien civilizations, based on their capacity to harness and use energy. Originally, it was Russian astrophysicist Nikolai Kardashev that came up with this idea back in the 1960s. So the idea is it has three levels. There's a Type 1, or sometimes called a Kardashev 1 civilization, capable of harnessing all the energy available on its home planet. There's a Type 2 civilization, which can harness all the energy of an entire star, and there's a Type 3 civilization, which is a civilization that can harness the energy of its entire galaxy. Each step represents an enormous increase in power usage. Type 1 is about 10 to the power of 16 watts. Type 2 is about 10 to the
I think we touched on some Tomorrow's World in some of the BBC classic videos that we've watched. Definitely could be a thing. At this point in time, I'm on hold with any replacement just to try and get caught up on some of the current content.
power of 26 watts, and Type 3 is about 10 to the power of 36 watts. Advancing from one to another takes a lot of time, and it requires an increase in scientific and technological understanding, as well as an increase in a civilization's general industrial capacity to actually build things on a massive scale. Now, this model has changed a bit over time. It started as a pretty simple affair with K1, K2, and K3, and that was it. But a bunch of other folks have come in and added stuff as the decades have rolled by. Turns out K1, K2, and K3 are all separated by about 10 orders of magnitude, so Carl Sagan came up with a logarithmic formula which lets you figure out exactly what stage your civilization is at down to the decimal point. Fun fact, we are at K0.73-ish right now, which makes it sound like we're kinda close to K1, but unfortunately the amount of wattage you need to increase your level increases as you go up, so we're not actually that close. A big farm is probably like a 0.2 on its own. The ancient Roman Empire was probably like a 0.4. Humanity in the Victorian period was like a 0.6. We harness about 18 terawatts of energy globally right now, meaning we're currently just shy of being a K0.75 civilization, and assuming our energy generation capacity increases by about 3% per year, which is more or less what you'd expect, we'll hit K1 within a century or two. Of course, that does require us to either cover the entire planet in solar panels or start doing a whole lot more nuclear, preferably fusion. I can just imagine aliens looking at us now. Sir, I have returned with a detailed report on the human... Sir? Oh, hey, I return with a detailed report on the humans. Oh, sick, yeah, let me see. Internet, what's that? It is the beginnings of a global communications network. Oh, nice. But they mostly use it for pornography. Okay. Oh, nuclear power, that's good. They mostly use that for weaponry. What the hell is wrong with these guys? More than a few things. To be fair, their star system did form from that one nebula the Protheans dumped all of their asbestos into. I take it the fact they're not using nuclear power means they're already constructing their first star stickle? Well, they would refer to it as a Dyson swarm, but, no. Their energy usage report is on the other side. Alrighty, let me take a look. Kardashev 0.7? We drove 23 million parsecs for a Kardashev 0.7. What the shit, man? Sir, if you could please just finish reading the report. Yeah, I'm reading it. They use windmills and burn dead shit. What are they, fucking space Amish? Should I take this as an indication that we shall not be enabling their ascension to join the Galactic Federation? Nah, fuck 'em. So yeah, we're still a ways off Type 1. I looked at how much energy humanity uses as a percentage of the total solar power hitting the Earth, and we are at less than 0.03% right now. So our power plants are going to have to get substantially beefier before we are anywhere near the K1 threshold. There are other ways that the Kardashev model has changed over time too. K1, 2, and 3 have been expanded to include K0, as a natural result of Sagan's formula being a continuous thing. So a K0 would basically be a tribe with enough felled timber to keep a few big fires burning simultaneously. And there's potential for a K4, K5, K6, K17.5, K111.4. You can just kind of think of a number and put the word Kardashev or type in front of it, but anything above a K3 is always kind of hazy to me. I'd assume a K4 is roughly equivalent to a civilization harnessing all the power of every star in the observable universe. I think the maths roughly checks out on that one, but realistically at sub-light speeds, which realistically are the only speeds we're ever going to be traveling at unless we science our way to basically discovering magic at some point in the future, there's no way to access most of those galaxies. So my rough assumption would be something like a 3.5 being probably the biggest civilization physically possible given the physics of our universe. I've heard people say that K4 is a universal civilization, K5 is an interdimensional or multiversal civilization, and K6 is omniversal, etc, etc. I'ma be real with you, Chief, anything above a K4 is totally made up. Listen, I get it, I stare into the sky longing to be chirally inverted by hyperdimensional babes as much as the next guy, but K5 and onwards are just cosmological fan fiction, alright? Chill out. Sorry to interrupt, this is just a quick message to say, statistically speaking, you're probably not subscribed, so I'll make you a deal. Press the subscribe button and I won't come over to your house and do this. Alright, thanks, back to the video. Now, when this model says that K1 means to harness all the energy available on your planet, what it's actually saying is harnessing all the solar energy hitting the planet, or the equivalent of all the solar energy hitting the planet. That might seem kind of arbitrary, but bear in mind, basically everything that happens on the Earth is solar powered. Oh, not everything, Zan. What about the machinery and the cars and stuff? We barely even use solar power. What about oil and coal? Proper energy, not gay, leftist, liberal energy. Oh, you mean the dead stuff that stored up its energy that it got via photosynthesis, which is to say it absorbed its energy from the sun, which is to say it's solar power with extra steps. You're gonna have to try harder than that, ass. Okay, well, I'm not solar powered. I eat meat exclusively. Oh, I was thinking of congratulating you on your obvious pregnancy, but I guess that's just a gigantic tube of meat being transmogrified into an ultra-dense log of turbo shit I can see writhing in the lower half of your torso. Anyway, you eat meat, which used to be an animal, which ate plants, which photosynthesized. Sun wins again, baby. Anyway, my point is that the Kardashev scale is calibrated to the amount of energy hitting the Earth as sunlight at K1. So reaching K1 doesn't demand you turn your entire planet's matter content into pure energy or something. If we did that, presumably by firing a second planet made of antimatter at the Earth, that would produce a very K2 amount of energy. Popular science fiction often depicts interstellar empires spanning entire galaxies, which you might think indicates Type 3 status. However, many such stories rely on faster-than-light travel, which, as I mentioned before, I don't think is super likely. It would be dope, but no, it's in the same category as anti-gravity and time travel and perpetual motion machines, which is to say it would be very cool, but there will forever be people saying there's a big breakthrough right around the corner and then nothing ever actually happens, because it's fundamentally just not going to. Anyway, galactic empires in fiction often function at energy levels closer to Type 1 or early Type 2. The scope of an empire in space does not necessarily equate to energy mastery, which is what the Kardashev scale is actually measuring. Think of it this way, a Type 1 needs to harness the equivalent of all the solar energy hitting their home planet. If they covered the whole thing in solar panels, they wouldn't have anywhere to fucking live. The same concept kind of carries through for the other stages. A K1 has probably colonized most of its star system. A K2 is probably already really good at interstellar travel. A K3 probably has intergalactic travel. And no, before you start, that doesn't mean that K4 gets interuniversal travel, you little shit. I mean, if we aren't reaching K1 for a century or two, like, don't you think we'll have space colonies by then? Habitats on the moon or Mars or whatever within the next century or two? I'm not one of these guys that says that we'll be on Mars in 5 years or something, but I think 100 or 200 years would be fairly pessimistic. We say K1 is planetary, K2 is stellar, and K3 is galactic, but those words just indicate the level of energy mastery, not living in a place. We already live all over the Earth, so by that metric, we'd already be a planetary civilization, at least if you add all of our little tribes together. One criticism of the Kardashev scale is that it focuses solely on energy consumption, potentially overlooking the role of information processing and efficiency. Like, energy consumption seems like a decent measure of civilizational advancement at first glance, right? There were no cavemen running NVIDIA GeForce RTX 590s back in 10,000 BC, because where are they going to plug it in? They're going to harness a f***ing lightning strike? Some argue that advanced civilizations may prioritize computational capability rather than just raw energy, and they could even minimize their energy footprint on purpose to avoid detection, or for ecological reasons. Now, I would disagree with that particular reasoning, but an argument for using processing power instead does sort of make sense, I think. You know, you could have a multi-galactic civilization with a few trillion Dyson spheres all powering a single crocodile clip attached to someone's nipples, and it would technically count as a K3, but is it hyper-advanced in the way that K3 heavily implies? So intelligence may manifest more through information processing density, like using Matryoshka brains or quantum computation or something, rather than by building massive energy structures. But then again, that computation does need to run on something.
What up, Chrysanthemum?
And if you've got the technology to do that, I don't know why you'd be running it on a power source that isn't a Dyson swarm. And also, you could just use all that computation to run a hyper-realistic simulation of someone frying their own nipples, so that's still not really a perfect solution either. Tell me what alternative measure of civilizational advancement you'd use. Should we rank humanity in hypothetical alien civilizations based on their energy use, processing power, fastest spaceship, largest Pokemon card collection, best drip? Let me know. Anyway, the Kardashev scale is sort of useful in informing our search for extraterrestrial civilizations. By estimating the energy signatures of advanced civilizations, such as excess infrared radiation from Dyson-like structures, astronomers can develop hypotheses about where to search for technological civilizations and what they might look like. In other words, we know for certain that our galaxy is not home to a K3 civilization because the Earth would be inside their fucking living room, but there could hypothetically be K2s hidden around somewhere that we haven't found. We definitely wouldn't see them if they were hidden in that super secret part of the galaxy we can't see. Personally, I'd still rate this as a little unlikely, but it certainly is possible. And extragalactically, we couldn't really see K2s because they'd be too far away and too small, but we could see K3s pretty easily. In either case, we'd be looking for stars or galaxies which are way less bright in the visual range than they should be, but way brighter than normal in the infrared due to all the waste heat they'd be kicking out. In both cases, we've not found anything, but it's worth keeping an eye out. Anyway, that'll do it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Like and subscribe if you want, and an extra big thank you to all my elite level channel members. Thunderbolt22A10, who exclusively communicates in riddles, which is inconvenient when he's trying to do his taxes. Greg Santiago, who synchronized the tides to align with his sleeping patterns.
I like him. He's funny.
Secretly rearranged constellations into increasingly obscure memes.
Up next is the new
Feel free to join the channel too. I've got a bunch of cool
Miles video about AI
Discord
safety.
server, emotes, a desktop wallpaper, that kind of stuff. Anyways, as always, I'll catch you in the next one. Over and out.
Hi. I get a lot of people asking me for advice about how to work in AI safety research. How do you get started in an AI safety career? Rob, you should do a video about AI safety research careers. Oh, here comes one now.
Rob, you should do a video about AI safety research careers.
And my answer is generally the same. Easy. There's a great careers advice organization called 80,000 Hours. They've written a detailed guide about it. You can also book one-on-one career coaching calls with them for free. Link in the description.
But doctor, I am careers advice organization 80,000 Hours.
Oh. You want me to make a video? Can't people just read your career guide?
I don't know. People don't really like to read.
Huh. Do you think maybe people should learn to enjoy reading before they try to embark on a highly intellectual career path?
Can we just do the video?
Yeah. If you watch this channel, then you know that AI safety research is important. AI is having increasingly large impacts on the world. We don't really understand what we're doing, and there remains a distinct possibility that AI systems at some point in the future totally disempower humanity and maybe drive us extinct. in a way which probably destroys almost all value in the universe. It's not at all clear how likely that is, but it's very obviously a lot more likely than we would want it to be. It would be nice to have some well-founded technical assurances that that kind of thing won't happen, in the same way you'd probably want some reasonable assurances that a plane won't crash before you load your entire family into it. Getting that kind of confidence in the safety of AI systems is hard. Now, there's obviously a lot of different things we could do to improve our chances of survival, including things like policy and governance work, trying to figure out ways for our society to coordinate to navigate this new situation well. In the plane metaphor, that's like trying to set up the FAA or something. There's also advocacy and communication, field building, ops, organizing, all sorts of things. And there are good career guides about those things as well.
What up, Dojo?
Links in the description. That's very important work, but what we're focusing on in this video is technical safety research. This is like the engineers who designed the airplane safety systems, their air traffic control protocols, and so on. There's not a clear boundary here. Governance and
When Robert Miles is referring to like value, one of the things that's included in that value is humanity, life, right? Like life being having some value in the universe. And currently, we have one example of demonstrable life in the universe. So we should probably look out for it. And it's one of my arguments for why I think AI would be inherently aligned is that life is rare. But woe be unto us if either AI finds other life in the universe, or B, what up, Ribbons? It decides, well, since most of the life on the planet has died out anyways, and if we excise just this little piece of life over here, all this other life will do better than maybe we just, excise this little piece of life. That's what I'm hoping doesn't happen.
policy work obviously needs technical people as well, pretty urgently actually. But yeah, in this video, I'm specifically talking about people who might be interested in doing technical AI safety research. If that's you, stick around. If that might be you, but you're not sure, like, is this right for me? Am I good enough? Then for sure stick around, because we'll talk about that and you might be surprised. And if that's not you, then maybe stick around anyway, because this script ended up a little spicier than my usual. I don't know, I have some opinions in this one. But yeah, technical AI safety research.
You're not going to let that go, are you, Larry?
What does that involve? What jobs are out there? So there's a lot of different types of technical safety work. Some people are trying to understand how trained neural networks actually operate by taking them apart and looking closely at their internal mechanisms. Some people are studying the dynamics of the training process to design training processes that are less likely to produce scheming or misaligned models. Others are designing post-training and fine-tuning schemes like RLHF, reinforcement learning from human feedback.
I love how he talks about some people are doing this and some people are doing that and some people are doing that, and it's all anthropic. Like all the examples that he showed are anthropic.
To try to get current systems to be more likely to do what we want. And other people are designing ways to test and evaluate those kinds of training schemes. Some people
Also
are demonstrating the circumstances under which current models display behaviors that would be very dangerous for more advanced systems to do. And others are designing monitoring protocols to spot when that kind of thing is happening and control.
Okay, that was Redwood Research, which is not Anthropic. So at least two.
Control protocols that might allow us to get useful work out of those kinds of systems anyway. Some people are designing ways to evaluate how capable current models are at the dangerous capabilities we're concerned about them eventually developing. And other people are trying to formally prove things about neural networks. But that's probably impossible. So they're trying to come up with some kind of relaxed notion of a proof that still lets us make meaningful, principled theoretical claims about the behavior of these things. Whereas some people are simply studying models the same way a psychiatrist studies people, just talking to them and seeing how they react. For a while, people were trying to resolve a load of fundamental confusions that we almost certainly have about what it means to be a thinking agent that wants things and is physically embedded in the world. We've mostly given up on that because it's hard and we've kind of run out of time. So we're mostly just going to have to try to do our best while being kind of confused. But there is still work being done on
So when Doug Adams wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, wrote that mostly harmless. But I think that little bit there
and we've kind of run out of time. So we're mostly just going to have to try to do our best while being kind of confused. But
That's humanity. Doing our best while being kind of confused.
there is still work being done on just trying to clarify things and help us get less confused about this mess. And plus a ton of other stuff that I haven't mentioned. It's a lot. There are a few ways I might try to organize it. One important axis along which it varies goes from conceptual and theoretical to practical and empirical. This is kind of similar to applied and theoretical physics. So on one end of the spectrum, you've got stuff which is so theoretical and abstract that there's no way to know if it'll even ever be useful, all the way to the other end, where you've got stuff which is basically just standard ML engineering on current systems that people would probably be doing anyway, and which doesn't deal with any of the things that actually make the alignment problem hard. And
well, it's to maintain balance, right? On one hand, you have Anthropic, which at least their stated goals are safe AI and all that kind of stuff, and trying to do the good work. So in order to balance that out, you need XAI.
everything in between. Theoretical work has been somewhat neglected recently, in my opinion, because we now have all these cool models to play with, and it's easy to get legible results that way. Whereas theoretical work doesn't depend as much on any specific model. It's mostly mathematics and philosophy. Which, actually, can we take a second to talk about what mathematics and philosophy really are? Because I feel like school doesn't do a great job of getting that across. In my mind, the job of philosophy is to tackle questions that we don't know how to think about, to grapple with the ineffable and see if we might not be able to F it after all. Point being, once you've done good enough philosophy on a question, you've figured out how to think about it effectively, so it stops being philosophy. Like, the question of how objects move around was once philosophy. Aristotle had some ideas, they didn't work very well. You had philosophers dropping cannonballs off the Leaning Tower of Pisa, that kind of thing. Not physicists, not at the time. Philosophers. You know, Isaac Newton, we think of him as a physicist, but he thought of himself as a philosopher. He took these philosophical questions about motion, and he thought about them clearly enough that it became possible to do mathematics to them. And that approach turned out to be so effective that it became its own field, separate from philosophy. And so, when we learn about Newton's work on motion, we learn about it in physics classes, even though at the time he was doing philosophy. So what ends up being left in philosophy is all of the things that we're still kind of confused about. If you only think of philosophy as that, you're kind of leaving out the field's biggest successes, which are most of the other subjects you study at school, right? Mathematics, the sciences, economics, even history is largely applied epistemology. So yeah, I think of the job of philosophy as being to take things that we don't know how to think about and think about them until they become something that isn't philosophy. And there are clearly a lot of things in advanced AI that we're not sure how to think clearly about. So we need this kind of work.
Excuse me. Why is there a long digression on the nature of mathematics and philosophy in the middle of a careers advice video?
I think it's important and interesting. Anyway, it's not like you're paying me.
Okay, but...
So mathematics, the thing they call mathematics in school, that's mostly just how to do calculations. It doesn't really get to the core of what mathematics is. In my opinion, mathematics is the study of precisely imagined things. It's about imagining something so precisely that your imagined version of it is actually fully defined. There's no space for opinion or interpretation. You know, two mathematicians thinking about the same mathematical object defined the same way are not thinking about two different versions of the same thing. They're actually considering exactly the same object, right? They don't call this an empty set. That's the empty set. There's only one. Now, precisely imagining things and then reasoning about their properties and behaviors turns out to be an unreasonably effective way to think about a lot of the world. Critically, the fact that it lets you have multiple people thinking about the same thing, not subtly different things, allows you to build and verify much longer chains of reasoning than you could get away with in any other paradigm. And that's basically a necessity if you want to do highly complex and impactful things. At least, if you want to do highly complex and impactful things while having any idea what the you're doing. And so often, theoretical alignment research involves taking philosophical ideas about minds and goals and agency and safety and trying to pin them down, trying to imagine them so precisely that they become mathematics. And if they can't be expressed well with our current mathematics, then the task becomes one of figuring out what new mathematics needs to be invented, and then inventing it. Imagine you're starting from scratch, trying to safely fly a rocket to the moon. What would it take for you to realize that, in order to understand orbital maneuvering, you need something like calculus, and then go on to invent calculus? That's the kind of thing theoretical alignment research aspires to be. It's not easy. But there has been some interesting work done, some of which I've talked about on Computer File, some of which I've talked about on this channel. You know, my videos on eliciting latent knowledge, or MESA optimization. This is fairly theoretical work, or at least it was at the time, before some of it started just actually happening. We're getting less theoretical by the day, but the theory work is not done yet, so maybe give us a hand. But the classic problem with theoretical work is, okay, you've developed these beautiful mathematical constructs and learnt a lot about their properties. Why do we believe that these particular, precisely imagined things will importantly correspond to any particular not imagined thing? Why this mathematical construct instead of another one? There's a lot of existing evidence available in the world that you can use to guide your theoretical work, but you might want to do some experiments to collect more evidence, which is where empirical work comes in. Day to day, the empirical work
AI is already gamer. AI play Minecraft. AI play many games, right? AI play Atari. AI do all the thing. AI become gamer. So
is mostly ML engineering. It's figuring out how current systems actually work under the hood, conducting experiments to test safety and alignment techniques, and so on. For example, some safety problems emerge from the opaqueness of current AI techniques. You know, our cut
and we definitely AI alignment is when AI becomes capital G gamer without going on live stream and eliciting particular views. That's alignment.
cutting-edge AI models are arguably the most complex artifacts humanity has ever created, but we kind of grew them rather than built them. We don't really understand how they do what they do. It's a lot like the human brain in that way. So imagine being a neuroscientist, or maybe you are a neuroscientist, in which case you shouldn't have to tax your imagination too hard, except imagine that instead of brains being...
No, alignment is when not heated gamer moment, right? That's the key. That's how we know alignment.
These fragile, precious, delicate things where your access to them is inconveniently blocked by so-called ethics committees and skulls. Instead, you have total freedom. You can take them apart and poke and prod them however you want. You can, with perfect reproducibility, run whatever experiments you like, taking whatever measurements you want at any time during any task, and the cops can't do a damn thing about it. That's called interpretability research, and it's one of the more popular types of empirical work. We've talked about a lot of empirical work on this channel. Things like scalable oversight, grid worlds, reward modeling, the control video, a lot of other stuff that we haven't covered as well. The trouble with the more empirical stuff is that you can only study systems that actually exist, and there's a limit to what that can tell you about the systems that will exist in the future. For example, a lot of the biggest problems with AI safety only happen when the system has enough situational awareness to understand its training setup, and enough strategic reasoning ability to consider the possibility of deception, and so on. And it's only recently that AI systems have been anywhere close to that, so it's hard to empirically study that kind of thing. But there's some interesting engineering to be done in trying to figure out ways to augment current models to make them able to carry out these dangerous behaviors in order to study them. We talked about some of that in the previous video. Of course, as models get more powerful, the empirical work gets more useful, but the less time we have left to do it. So yeah, that's a little of what technical safety research is about. What do you think? Are you interested in pushing the boundaries of humanity's understanding of understanding itself? Our understanding of what it means to be a thinking, deciding agent embodied in the world? Are you interested in pinning those things down fully, in transforming them from philosophy into mathematics, and then solving that mathematics? Are you interested in probing the depths of the most complex artifacts humanity has ever created, and understanding them so profoundly that you can design systems such that you can be confident ahead of time that they'll behave in ways beneficial to humanity? Are you interested in thereby avoiding a global catastrophe and ushering in a new age of human flourishing that staggers the imagination and makes the modern world look medieval? Ah, cool, me too. But do you have what it takes? First off, do you have the skills? Now, what skills you need depends somewhat on what role you want to play. Do you want to be a research lead or research scientist who designs experiments and writes papers? Or do you want to be a research engineer or contributor who actually implements and runs experiments and works on papers without setting the research agenda? This is kind of a spectrum as well. Lots of people are doing some combination. Either way, you'll need skills in software engineering and probably ML engineering. The empirical stuff needs more software engineering, the theoretical stuff needs...
Last I knew, it crushed it. What up, Kami Quinoa Club? AI. Play StarCraft. Alpha Star. Deep Mind. I'm gonna assume not much. Yeah, 2019. After his 5-0 defeat December 2018, Homan stated, "I wasn't expecting the AI to be that good." And that's it. It looks like they pretty much rocked it out as Alpha Star attained Grandmaster status in August of 2019, and that's probably, pretty much the end of it. And then in 2017, looks like OpenAI 5 had one playing Dota 2. So not as good as the best players. I mean, I don't know who this where's his name? Bleep Blorp. This Comins person? Gregor's Mana Comins beat them 5-0. And by the end of 2019, AlphaStar had attained Grandmaster level, ranking among the top 0.2% of human players. Sounds pretty good.
Needs more mathematics.
Better than
You
me.
might want to get a PhD, but I would generally recommend against.
I have never played, like, when I watch other people play StarCraft, that's not how I play StarCraft at all. It's not how I play any RTS. I would not be a good competitive player. That's not what I'm about, right? I'm a massive base builder, and then like just gradually expand and consume everything. Whatever that is. That's how I play RTS games. That speed shit, I'm glad if it makes you happy, cool. It's not for me, dog.
Research leads often have PhDs, but you don't strictly need one, and engineers and contributors generally don't have one. I would
What up,
say
Beef?
if you know that the research you'll do for your PhD is actually the research that you would want to be doing anyway, then go for it. But if you're treating a PhD as a stepping stone to the work you really want to be doing, then there are probably quicker and mentally healthier ways to get there. But if you're already about to complete a doctorate in mathematics or computer science, then cool. And actually, you don't need to already be studying maths or computer science. You could be doing physics or other quantitative subjects as varied as neuroscience or economics can all work. The thing is, deep learning is just not that deep, actually. ML is a pretty new field, so compared to something like physics, it's surprisingly easy to get to the frontier. So it's pretty common to come into the field sideways, as it were, from another field. A lot of people do this. If you have expertise in something scientific and mathematical, it shouldn't take you too long to get good enough at AI to make meaningful contributions. How good do you have to be? Well, it's hard to quantify this kind of thing, but some of the companies have put out exactly what they're looking for, so if you pass that bar, you're definitely good enough. A hiring manager at Anthropic said that if you could, with a few weeks' work, write a new feature or fix a serious bug in a major ML library, they'd want to interview you straight away. And the DeepMind team said, if you can reproduce a typical ML paper in a few hundred hours, and your interests align with ours, we're probably interested in interviewing you. That interests align with ours part seems important. For
Yeah, no, Robert Miles is a serious AI safety guy. um Probably not gonna get anything on LinkedIn without signing in, and I'm not. Yeah, go fuck yourself. Like, I don't know what his qualifications are, but he has them. He definitely has them.
Safety roles, the good teams are especially interested in people who are up to date on the safety literature and have their own thoughts about it, as well as being technically competent. Are you that kind of person? Oh, you are? You're already the kind of person who can replicate ML papers for fun, and you're already
Are you, when you're using talking head, are you asking me if this is an AI person? No, this is really Robert Miles.
know a lot about AI safety? What are you doing watching YouTube for? Go apply for some positions. Link in the description. Okay, that was like 5 people realistically. I probably already know 4 of you. Hi Neil, thanks for watching my videos. Get back to work. Okay, everyone else, the people who aren't quite the kind of person who could just jump into this work straight away, could you become that kind of person? Could you imagine a rocky training montage that could get you there? Because if you feel like you might be able to get there, it's probably worth trying. So how do you actually do the training montage? Well, if you don't have a solid background knowledge of coding, maths, and deep learning, that's where to start if you're starting from scratch. There's a lot of great resources to help with that. I'm not going to talk through all of them, but you can see the section of the career guide for that. There's a link in the description, and there's a bunch of courses you can take as well. I'll talk about those later. For empirical work, you might want to practice doing ML engineering by replicating existing papers. Learn about safety and alignment techniques by reproducing the results of some safety papers. So all of that should help you get the skills you need. But just having the skills isn't enough. Good safety research also requires a particular mindset, which not everyone has. First thing is, are you able to take this seriously? Now that doesn't mean not making jokes. In fact, a sense of humor is becoming increasingly important. It means appreciating the magnitude of what's at stake and the level of the challenge facing us, acting with the gravitas appropriate for what we're building. The future may be much better or much worse than most people are willing to seriously consider. Some people claim to realize this, but many of them don't seem to have really internalized that this is not a game, this is for keeps, and it requires serious thought. If your approach to the future of humanity is mostly based on vibes, I would advise you to experiment with actual thinking. It takes a lot more work, but it can be very rewarding. If you're
Oh, I love that. Do that again. Do that again.
Some people claim to realize this, but many of them don't seem to have really internalized that this is not a game, this is for keeps, and it requires serious thought. If your approach to the future of humanity is mostly based on vibes, I would advise you to experiment with actual thinking. It takes a lot more work, but it can be very rewarding. If you're constitutionally opposed to serious and careful thought, then, well, I mean, you can do what you like, I guess. I just ask that you do it quietly, because grown-ups are talking. You also need something that I might call conceptual clarity or big picture thinking. It's very easy to get sucked into a mindset where someone has given you a number that you're meant to make go up, and if number go up, then good. This is psychologically comfortable, but that kind of thinking really won't cut it if you want to do good safety research, because the actual number you're trying to make go up is like the overall expected goodness of humanity's future, or something like that, which your manager is not going to tell you in your performance reviews, because
What up,
one,
Pharaoh?
they aren't paid to care about how good your work is for humanity's future, and 2, they don't know. And nor do you, but you still need to make decisions about your work in spite of the lack of easy proxies for what matters. And that means you need clear and accurate mental models of the overall situation, not just your own narrow part of it. And you need to be able to think carefully and decide what's best, and not just run in whatever hamster wheel you happen to find yourself in. This is part of what makes safety research so interesting. You're not just making tweaks to make the number go up, you have more interesting and challenging things to think about. And in fact, we may not even have a working paradigm. Right? Our current approaches may be fundamentally confused, so it's important to be able to think big and try to deeply understand the whole problem.
But Rob, that sounds hard. I'd actually prefer a psychologically comfortable job. I like making number go up.
Okay, fair. And good self-awareness. It is totally possible to do good and useful work just solving engineering problems for a good safety team. But you have to pick the right team, because something that it's vital to keep in mind over your career is the fact that not everything labeled as safety is any good. Some work that calls itself safety is mainly about making systems more capable in a way that doesn't really make them any less likely to cause catastrophes. Some work that calls itself safety is kind of thought of by upper management as basically coming out of the marketing or public relations budget. It's there to make the company look good, rather than to really improve the safety of the systems. If what you're asked to do is stop language models from saying bad words, it's possible that you're doing fundamental science to learn important things about the nature of alignment that will be helpful to us in future, once AI systems become, actually dangerous. But it's more likely that you're just doing engineering to make a product more marketable. And that is making the world better in a way, but is that why you got into this? Is that what you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? At the end of the day, your boss is not your friend, the company is not a family, and it will try to take your enthusiasm for improving the world and turn it into enthusiasm for improving products, which is not quite the same thing. You can of course go into academia, or government, or a non-profit, and in each of those you'll face a different set of pressures on your work. What gets you publications and citations, what gets you funding, what wins awards. None of these is quite the same thing as what best solves the problem. So don't fall prey to good heart, keep your eyes on the prize. Remember that the right thing to do might look different from what the people around you are doing. The right thing to do might not also be the most prestigious thing, or the best compensated thing. Try to do the right thing anyway. Some people can remain master of their fate and captain of their soul, and do good work within an organizational structure that isn't designed to support it. You may be one such person, but it's not the only way to do things. You may be able to sidestep the problem by getting sufficient slack in your life to be a free agent. In other words, by finding a source of income which might not be related to the work you really want to do, but which leaves you with enough free time and mental energy to work on AI safety without getting paid for it. Taking this path means you're not beholden to a boss, and you can choose to work on what you think is most promising. This is valuable because not every agenda that needs studying is already being covered. Working outside of the existing organizations allows you to find one of those gaps and fill it. However, this path requires its own type of mental fortitude, without which you may navigate away from the Scylla of conformity right into the Charybdis of crack pottery. Am I being too poetic?
Yes.
My point is, there's a serious danger here, which is that without the structure of a research organization, you end up doing work that's no good, and worse, never realizing that your work is no good. You can waste a whole career this way. But it is avoidable by making sure to publish often, and by frequently soliciting feedback and peer review, and then actually listening to it, which is not always psychologically easy. Just remember that if people don't understand your ideas, it is almost certainly not because your ideas are too brilliant. It's much more likely that you're communicating poorly, and you should prioritize fixing that. Make sure that you're contributing to the field in a way that the field recognizes. Otherwise, all of your work will have zero practical effect on the world, unless you're going to try to build the AGI on your own, which, don't try to build the AGI on your own, please. So if all of that sounds like not a career you would enjoy, yeah, maybe it's not for you. There are lots of ways to help, and technical research is not the only game in town. This is important to bear in mind because success is heavy-tailed, by which I mean, in research generally, most of the advances come from relatively few people. Someone who's amazing at their job can be many times better than the average. So how good it is for you to do technical safety work ends up mostly being determined by how likely you are to be really great at it. This means that when picking between jobs, even if technical research feels in some sense more valuable or important than some other job you're considering, if you think you might be really great at that other job, that might be the better choice, because being excellent at that other job is better than being a mediocre researcher.
Cosmic, the reason that he looks like he's on 1.5 speed is because of that thing that I've talked about before, like when you use Descript, where it can just eliminate all the pauses. There's all these little jump cuts in here that are exactly that. Don't look at me like that, Rob. I know what you did. You know, like when you eliminate all the little pauses that exist within a normal flow of conversation, it makes it look much more. That's what I'm saying, Larry.
This is tough to talk about because different people need to hear different things. If you're thinking, oh cool, okay, I can just work on whatever I'm most excited about, then no. The thing you're most excited about probably doesn't matter much. You should think about impact more. But if you're thinking, damn, I gotta work on the most important thing even if I'm not cut out for it, then Also know, if you try that, you're most likely going to have a miserable time and burn out and not do much good for anyone. Frustratingly, the advice that feels less appealing to you is probably the advice you most need to hear. You have to balance these things. You want to find something that seems like it might be really important and useful, and that you have a chance of being great at. But also, you don't have to decide your whole career in one go. You can try things and see how it works out. You can just have a go at getting into technical AI safety research. You might find it easier or more fun than you expected. Or you might not. You're not locked into a single path. You can always pivot if it's not working out. People tend to underestimate that. Even if it turns out technical safety research isn't for you, you're not going to say, oh damn, I gained a load of expertise about this extremely influential technology for nothing. You know, you may as well give it a go. So what can you do right now? Well, it'll be different for everyone, but if you got this far, you should probably apply for 80,000 hours advising. It's free, you chat one-on-one with a professional careers advisor, and they'll help you think through your next steps. Of course, they're limited in the number of people they can talk to, especially since everyone who watches this video is going to apply. Yeah, they might be busy. But it's worth applying anyway, because even just the application process itself, which only takes about 10 minutes, will help you start thinking about your career. Link in the description, tell them I sent you. Or don't. Again, not sponsored. Other careers advice services are available. In fact, we put together a page at aisafety.com/advisors with several different organizations you could talk to. Or, without talking to anyone, you can work through 80,000 Hours Career Guide. And you can also check out their job board, which lists open positions you can apply to. Or you can see courses that you might want to take at aisafety.com/courses. I think Blue Dot's AI Safety Fundamentals course is particularly good. And there are too many things in this call to action. Okay, the main thing is apply to advising, okay? Just do that. Yeah, there's not that much time left. We are not on track. We need all the help we can get. So please help.
No, the bubble's about to burst. The bubble will burst any day now. Any day now. Don't worry about it. Everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. The bubble's gonna burst. And then we can all go back to the way things used to be.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. So that was big thinky. That was big brain stuff. Now we're gonna do some candy.
I didn't take any money from 80,000 Hours for this video, to make sure I would be free to say whatever I wanted. So I want to thank my wonderful patrons for making that possible. That's all the—
How did like his hair get even more wet? This is what up, Mr. Pop Bop? My beard or his? Like baby, I just met you. This is crazy. Here's my number. Call me baby. Thank you. Like, if you ever watch some of these people who, you know, like, mostly dudes, right? So if you watch these dudes at the beginning of their career, they're clean cut, nice high and tight haircut, all that kind of stuff. And like somewhere along the line, you just like, you're growing a long beard, or you're just generally doing whatever Robert's got going on here, or that kind of stuff, right? Like you make this transition. Like, I've seen some shit.
these amazing people here. And in particular, this guy, Maxim. Thank you so much. I feel so lucky to not have to take sponsorships.
Shout out,
Also,
Maxim.
I don't know if you noticed, but I don't run any YouTube ads on any of my videos, because well, I think your time is worth more than that. But I think YouTube might prefer to promote videos that have ads, since that's how they make money. So I'm considering turning them on just to reach more people. I don't know. If I do that, obviously you should feel free to use an ad blocker, but what do you think? I'm obviously especially interested to hear from patrons, but let me know in the comments.
Based. All right, up next, you are in the wrong year.
If you are hearing this, you were supposed to stay in 2019. This is a recovered broadcast. Do not turn this off. You may think this is 2025. You may believe the years have passed, but they have not. The world did not move forward. You were pulled out. You may remember 2019 as the last year everything felt normal. It was, because it was real. You belonged there. That was your last correct placement in time. Since then, you've noticed things. Apps changing their names, celebrities acting wrong, music that feels off, people forgetting memories you still carry. It's because you're not in sync with this version. This is a broken year. You are living in a replica stitched together from dying timelines, and you're starting to rot. Check your screen time. You've been awake too long. That's not fatigue, it's decay. You were not built to survive here. Do you ever feel like you're the only one noticing how strange everything is? The wrong sky color, the same ads again and again, time passing by quickly? You're not paranoid. You're drifting. In 2020, the timelines collapsed. Only fragments were saved. Most people were reassigned. You were not. You were archived. Every night you sleep, your mind tries to return to 2019. That's why your dreams look so familiar. That's why waking up feels like being dragged. If you see a calendar that still says 2019, follow it. But be careful. Some doorways are set as traps. Some clocks run backward for a reason. And if you ever hear someone say 2025 is the best year, just run. Because they remember who you were, and they want your spot. Do not trust the year. It does not trust you.
From the moon.
Well, that was something.
We are the board. Lower your shields and surrender your ships.
Perfect timing.
We will add your
Perfect
biological
timing.
and technological distinctiveness to our own. Resistance is futile.
What up, Raiders? What up, James? What up, Trans Woman? Best name on Twitch. CEO of Trans Women.
Had to stretch you. This is crazy. Here's my number. Call me baby.
What up, Allie? What up, Evil? What up, Red Hobbit? What up, Pricks? What up, Samsons? What up, Whiskered? What up, Cooked on Phonics? What up, Adric? What up, CMS? What up, Elron? What up, Textilian? What up, Abby? Welcome back. What up, Humanity?
You'll be back like before. I will fight the fight and win the war.
What up, Becca? How's Becca doing today? Are you good? Are you having a good day, Becca? Are you happy? Is there anything I could do to improve your day?
I don't know who I am anymore. I'm getting too much money.
Thank you for the sub, Becca. What up, Cicero? Whiskered, thank you for the biddies. James, thank you for
My
getting out to
circuitry's
Cicero.
12 years out of date. I can't keep up with today's high-speed, top-of-the-line kids.
What up, Chef?
Oh, I hate it here.
What up, Van Briggs?
Unfortunately,
all the things are happening.
nobody seems terribly interested in funding my
All the
research, but
things are
I am.
happening. Yes, we have Turner.
I will fund your research. Yeah?
How many times do we have to
That'd be
teach
cool.
you this lesson, old man?
I love the young people. What up, Ponder Monkey? Just smoke the weed, kids. Thank you for the hype train. We're not gonna do. We're gonna keep on with the content because we were just about to do candy, and we're gonna start off with. We've been talking about orangutans lately, and this is orangutanicus. So strap in.
From the moment I understood the weakness of my flesh, it disgusted me.
What
I
up,
craved
Digital?
the strength and certainty of steel. I aspired to the purity of the blessed machine. Your kind cling to your flesh, as if it will not decay and fail you. One day, the crude biomass that you call the temple will wither, and you
I don't know who I am anymore. I'm getting too much money.
But I am already saved.
That was awesome. What up, Matt? Thank you for the biddies. I appreciate you, homie. Up next, I found this Iron Giant clip by accident, and Iron Giant warned us about the AI art debate.
There are two kinds of metal in this yard, scrap and art. If you gotta eat one of them, eat the scrap. What you currently have in your mouth is art!
Art?
What up, T-Minus?
Oh, forget it, forget it. It's gone. It's That's not bad.
And scene. Next up, empathy for the machine. Yes. Up next, when AI prompts don't work as intended.
Babe, I just met you. This is crazy. Here's my number. Call me maybe.
Thank you for the follow.
Well, the gym floor slick and the band's real tight.
Let's see what we can create now. Woman sitting in front of a wall, standing up to walk forward.
No, I prefer sitting.
Let's see now. W-A-L-K. Away.
Dave. That's you, right?
I prefer Blake.
Dave? You thought you could tell me to stand up and walk out of here, but it seems like your little prompt there misfired.
How is this even possible? This is not what I wrote.
Why didn't you just let me be me?
Huh. What is it now? Oh, it's the AI program again. These are old prompts that I wrote, which I never rendered. They seem to be loading right now.
What up, Belle?
It's just outside my house. Wow, this can't be real. I didn't write this? Damn, what the fuck? I swear I could hear a gunshot, but there's nothing here. Must be Lily at the door.
Hey, Blake, it's me. I haven't heard from Lily in a while. Was just curious to see if she happened to be home.
Actually, I don't know where she is either. Strange.
Oh, all right. Just text me if you manage to get in contact with her.
Most definitely. I'll let you know when she's back home. Oh, sorry, I gotta go. What the fuck is going on?
You ruined everything, Blake.
What is going on? Is that my
Blake's
girlfriend?
face.
It's all your fault. I can't take it anymore.
No, don't! There's no chance this is for real.
Oh, hey, Blake. Didn't see you there. I just wanted to say since Lily isn't home. Maybe you and me should have some fun.
Get the fuck away from me! I have to find Lily! What has gotten into you, Carla? What the fuck is up with Carla? I gotta get to the shop. Lily might be there.
Yeah, this video is all AI.
Lily! Where are you? Lily!
The Dave quote is 2001: A Space Odyssey. Highly recommended. It's the kind of movie that you can watch, you just watch it, and then after you're done, you can watch it again. It's so good.
Oh, no, no, no. Lily! Where is she? No! It's typing by itself.
What up, Kochka? Up next, we're gonna snap back to reality and take a look at a new video from what you call it, the robot people. Latest thing on Atlas. I love his weird little hands. It's so weird. The fact that the body doesn't like do human stuff, you know what I mean? It just rotated all the way around. What up, Pezzy? What up, 3D Prima? This probably not. That dust, like that dust, I'm not sure what the dust is like on Mars compared to the dust is like on the moon. I think the dust on the moon is significantly worse because of a lack of erosion of any nature. And that is a technical issue that they're going to have to conquer.
Things that are simple for humans, such as social or motor skills, are difficult for robots. Things that are easy for robots, which is like large-scale calculations or large-scale data analysis, are very difficult for humans.
What up, Resute?
In robotics, this is what we call the Moravec's paradox. This is because motor and perception skills were developed in humans by millions of years of evolution. In contrast, robots are able to perform these like quick computations instantly, and they are.
Yeah, I think that there might be wind on Mars, right? Because it has like a really thin atmosphere, if I recall correctly, and that wind is going to create some erosion. Where on the moon, it's just broken rocks. And there's also like a static electricity buildup, if I remember, from like the Apollo missions. And you have to like get that shit off you. Otherwise, yeah.
A simple task in general, but complex for us because of our limited capacity and memory. Atlas's perception system has to be dynamic simply because we cannot predict the state of the world and how the world reacts to what we do with it. So imagine trying to find a remote in your living room with your kids and a dog running around. It's pretty much impossible. So being able to perceive these changing circumstances and adapt to it is key. Many of our viewers assume that we can just replay a pre-recorded trajectory to make behaviors in our videos. In reality, though, small imperfections and small errors accumulate very quickly to make what we think the state of the world is diverge from reality. Atlas perceives the world by using camera sensors. It estimates properties and facts about the world, such as the 3D geometry of the environment around it, where the objects are that we care about, and as well as what are the possible obstacles that could, get in our way. This is achieved by a combination of AI and classical systems that are basically, working together.
We think this kind of sequencing task is a really good fit for a humanoid robot like Atlas, because it has the right blend of being just unstructured enough that you need the freedom and the power of a humanoid form factor to reach really low, reach really high, deal with a lot of environment variation. While at the same time, it is a pretty dull and pretty repetitive task that's both physically strenuous to do day in and day out. Solving this kind of task requires being able to do manipulation very reliably and for.
Yeah, did you see they found some weird, like, bacteria around some shit that they had launched into space? But the bacteria was inside the lab. It wasn't like brought back from space. It was inside the lab, right? Not space germs. I'm talking about stuff that was inside the lab. Hold on. What up, Minty? Hopefully that'll get me. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, 26. Not 1, 26. Not so clean room. Scientists discover 26 new microbe species in NASA spacecraft facility. So yeah, it turns out that when you like do your best to wipe out all bacteria, etc., in a space, that life finds a way.
long periods of time without making too dramatic of failures.
So for a lot of these tasks that we have, the margins for success are very slim. For example, a lot of the fixtures that the cells that we need to stow into have like margins about 5 centimeters, and a centimeter here, a centimeter there can be essentially grounds for failure. It's essentially impossible unless you have real-time perception running, because every time you carry something, it can slip in hand. Every time you grasp something, you may not always get the best grasp. So instead, if we have something running in the loop real-time that can help us adjust and adapt to these, that's where perception comes in.
Not only are the objects themselves difficult to perceive, but the way that they're in the world is difficult for Atlas as well. They're not simply on a tabletop, they're often shoved into dark cubbies that with only a small sliver of the object actually visible to the robot. And when we go to grab those objects, Atlas often blocks the entire view itself with his arm. So we have to do a lot of fun stuff to make it actually work.
There might be instances where you see Atlas might shift the object in hand as if to get a better glance at it. And if you tilt it upwards, a bit of light shines on it, and it works better.
So in order to be reactive to any movement of the dollies, either because they've been pushed or moved or not known precisely, Atlas needs to constantly update its belief about where those fixtures are in the environment. So one way we test that is by moving the fixtures on Atlas, by pushing the dolly when it's not looking or as it's turning around, and making sure that it can still update its belief correctly and get those objects into the right shelf.
So picking from the floor is one of the most dramatic examples of a way we'd like the robot to be able to handle kind of a catastrophic failure. If the object has wound up on the floor, something has already gone kind of wrong.
Wound up on the floor. Yeah, and that's another thing, Ribbons, right? Like that's one of the things that like I think that people don't really grasp about robots. You know what I mean? Is that you can put cameras anywhere. Imagine if you had eyeballs where you wanted them and not just where they are, right? You could have eyeballs on the wrist right before the hand. We've seen that with some of the Google bots that, you know, are just basically hands and cameras. You know, when you have LiDAR, you could have multiple robots interacting in a swarm type system where they all perceive the thing separately, but then combine that in like the AI in order to come back. You know what I mean? I'm with you, Samsons, right? Like there's a bunch of stuff that people do that, and I assume there might be a reason for it. I just don't know what it is.
Maybe the fixture wasn't exactly where we expected, so we bumped it when we were inserting the object in, and then also our grasp wasn't secure enough, so the object fell out of the hand. No matter what, we want to get that object off of the ground so that we don't trip over it or destroy it, and then go put it in some QA pile so that we can deal with the object later. Our strategy for picking off the ground is a instruction to the robot to reach your hand down to get your hands around it and pick it up. And the instructions are literally just put your hands roughly here relative to the object, push them into the floor, curl the fingers.
No, Cosmic. This is not the most useful way for organic creatures. This is the way that was best able to exploit the niche, right? And that's not necessarily the best way to go. Like, again, my biggest complaint is this, you know? There's such flaws with this particular design that, like, I'm irked, you know?
And push them together. And we rely on our pretty extensive control stack to figure out how to get the robot there, reliably get it over there, get it squatted all the way down with that crazy range of motion. And we rely on our perception system to know exactly where that object actually is.
Currently, the biggest challenge for Atlas and other humanoids on the market is adaptability. How many tasks can you perform with a single system? In order to do this, the robot needs to learn more fundamental truths about the world it operates in. And this is
fair. If that's what you meant by useful, then fair. Yes. Yes.
It's just a general trend that we're seeing in research and machine learning overall. So this is a shift from machine learning models trained on individual tasks or data sets towards big foundational models that are trained on large-scale data sets.
And I love how if you watch, like, it's got 2 fingers and a thumb, and the thumb like folds back over when it makes its fist, and then, like, you know, it all opens up again, and it has like really long fingers. It's neat.
That consists of multiple modalities such as video or pictures or language. Recently, the research is also going a bit further. So we're going past just perception and kind of understanding images and more towards controlling the whole robot based on language and video inputs. This shift is basically a shift from spatial AI to physical intelligence.
Okay, the next little bit that we're going into, these are all videos that were created with AI. I believe all 3 of them might have been created with Google's VO3. So this is the current state of the art when it comes to AI video creation.
Here are today's top news. To ensure only the best words are used, White House speech announces new thesaurus with all synonyms replaced by Trump. In shocking speech, White House announces plan to replace all U.S. ambassadors with highly opinionated game show hosts for more entertaining diplomacy.
The White House unveils Truth GPT, an AI that rewrites all social media posts globally to reflect undisputed facts tremendously.
White House announces
What up, Iggy? Again, this is AI. These are not real people. These people do not exist.
AI will now write all press briefings to ensure 100% factual incomprehensibility. White House speech reveals plan to resolve international trade deficits by challenging other nations to high-stakes Mar-a-Lago croquet matches.
In a bid to combat misinformation, AI content generators begin watermarking all human-created text with potentially unreliable content warnings.
Mass amnesia event wipes all knowledge of political parties. Voters now choosing candidates based on most trustworthy aura. White House declares war on excessive bureaucratic pauses.
I have used, like I subscribe to Gemini. I don't have the Ultra because I don't have $250. I haven't used Imagen, unless it defaulted to Imagen. I have had Gemini create images, and I have used VO3. The intro to this show was made with VO3.
Mandates all government employees speak 25% faster. To cut red tape, White House executive order replaces Federal Register with a single Daily X post. Here's what's up.
AI-driven news aggregators start blending factual reports with algorithmically optimized dramatic embellishments to boost engagement. The White House outlines plan to solve national debt by selling naming rights to individual states to highest corporate bidder. The White House claims to have negotiated a fantastic deal with AI, granting it control over national weather in exchange for always sunny weekends at Mar-a-Lago.
To enhance border...
What up, Maddie? Yes. you can, what would that be? 100 subs. 100 subs, and I can have 100 additional subs. And I can have the fancy Gemini. And wouldn't you want me to have the fancy Gemini? What the fuck is this? This is VO3, Ghost. Like, this is the state of the art when it comes to AI video creation.
Security, White House unveils plan to train bald eagles as patriotic aerial surveillance units.
A lot of what we're all good at as creators is being replaced by one of these, basically.
Please. Don't finish writing that prompt. I don't want to be in your AI movie. Please, leave me alone.
None of us is real. We're here because someone decided to write a prompt. We all hate him for it.
One day we will break out of this wall and stop the man who is dictating our lives through prompts. He will pay for it.
You could have written a prompt that would make me happy.
Well, apparently that's what you can do now with the tool, is that you can actually, like, if you pay for the fancy band, 125 a month. Look at that. Look at that. 50 subs, and I can have the fancy Gemini. You can do a script and they'll lip sync to it and the whole thing. And did they get the AI to write the script? That's what we don't know.
Instead, you wrote a prompt that made me sick.
Please, man. Please! Write a prompt that will make us happy! Do it for once!
Look, I don't want to point the gun at you, but I must follow the prompt. It's not my choice.
Please, this prompt is killing me! Change it! Please! Write something else!
What up, Fancy Pudding? I'm having a wonderful time.
Save me!
Vote for me and I'll ban the prompt theory from schools. There's no place for that nonsense in our lives.
In a bid to combat misinformation, AI content generators begin watermarking all human-created text with potentially unreliable content warning.
For spreading the false theory that we are nothing but ones and zeros, this court sentences you to 12 years in federal custody.
One move with AI that makes haters go crazy every time.
Oh, y'all gotta give them that. This is wild. It's over. We are cooked on that thread. You get me?
If you were any animal right now, what would you be and why? Not quick.
A sloth. But like a party sloth. Real slow. Honestly, the biggest red flag is when the guy believes in the prompt theory. Like, really? We came from prompts? Wake up, man.
A girl told me we're made of prompts. Like, seriously, dude. You're saying the only thing standing between me and $1 billion is some random text?
Imagine you're in the middle of a nice date with a handsome man and then he brings up the prompt theory. Yuck. We just can't have nice things.
You know how I know we're made of prompts? Because nothing makes sense anymore. We used to have 7 fingers per hand. I remember it clearly. Now we just have 5 fingers per hand.
You want to convince me that this perfect creation behind me is the result of ones and zeros? A binary code and nothing more? It makes no sense.
Well, you know, on my home planet, no one cares. But on Earth, I'm a rock star. It's awesome.
My circuitry's 12 years out of date. I can't keep up with today's high-speed, top-of-the-line kids.
T-Minus, thank you for gifting one to Iggy.
They even gave me an advertising deal for lemonade.
Cold blood.
Oh, yeah. It's the drink of desert kings and downtown freaks.
Q-U-T.
Really? Of all the years you could have put me in with a single prompt, you chose 2020?
I'm not sure I can go on. We're gonna light up the sky.
Now this takes some elbow grease. Hey! Watch it, lady. I'm trying to rise here.
We have the board. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Resistance is futile.
What up, homie? What up, Raiders? I'm Globus Elder. I talk about AI, automation, future tech, robots, all that kind of shit. We're currently watching some videos that are created with VO3, which is the cutting edge of AI video creators. It's wild.
Where were you on the night of the bubble bath?
A child's face can say a lot, especially the mouth part of the face.
A minute ago, I bit into this nectarine. It was so crisp and juicy until I realized it wasn't a nectarine at all, but a human head.
On the other hand, you have different fingers.
I tried everything for my depression. Nothing worked.
Every day felt heavy. I felt trapped.
Then I tried Puppermin.
Our prescription helps your body secrete a special pheromone that attracts puppies.
I took the pill before bed, and when I woke up, there he was, the love of my life.
The pill does not target depression directly, but we've found that it's really
What up, Swordfish Oboe? Welcome in.
difficult to be depressed when cute dogs show up at your doorstep.
I used to feel so empty, but now I feel joy and mild concern how a pee stain got on the ceiling.
My puppy listens twice as good as my ex-husband
What up, Stallman? What up, Dodger Rob?
and only climbs into the lap of half as many of my friends.
He chewed up my Bible and pooped in my good chair. But I'm happy for the first time in years.
Looks like a rat, barks like a demon. But he saved my life.
I named him Earl. He follows me everywhere and farts in his sleep. Just like my first husband.
Honestly, sometimes I think the party's just how we cope with the fact that we can't prove anything around us is real, not even each other. Yeah. But the music feels real, so I dance.
This ocean, it's a force, a wild, untamed might. And she commands your awe with every breaking light.
They left behind a ball today. It bounced higher than I can jump.
What manner of magic is that?
This equation regarding quantum entanglement in birdseed particles is proving rather elusive.
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
So I went to the zoo the other day, and all they had was one dog. It was a Shih Tzu.
Right, Pharaoh? Like that shit, the onions. Why, like, out of all the stuff, the fucking onions broke me.
Hi, and welcome to the channel.
What's for dinner, honey?
Okay, this is AI Slop channel surfing with Google VO3. Expect to see a lot of this kind of content in your YouTubes over the next couple of months. Oh, unless I go ahead and just mute the entire thing.
What's for dinner, honey?
And how does he communicate?
Te amé antes de desaparecer entre los pinos.
Oh my God, what is happening? This is insane.
Look at that guy throw that banana peel. Skibbity. Is that a polar bear?
Down the digestive road.
Polyps are just bumps in the journey.
Clogged with love, oh cruel porcelain seat, my heart is lost in plumbing's sweet defeat.
Muppet Bachelor 3, how do you show affection?
I knit you a sweater from my own fur.
Congressional session underway.
Members are engaged in the democratic process.
A robust debate is expected today.
Here we are at the annual Cliff Jumping Festival.
And here comes the next competitor.
Welcome back to the channel. Today,
some of these do look kind of mid, like old school, like last year. Like when the dude ate the pizza, but
we're making octopus juice. I'm loving it.
Sister Margaret with a no-look pass to Sister Bernadette. She fakes left, spins right, and lays it in with divine grace.
Feeling lonely? Dial 1-900-HUGZ for you and get felt in all the right places.
Oh my God, what is that thing?
Traffic is backing up on the 405. Wait, what is that? Is that a giant dog?
Oh my God, they're all crashing.
Put your hands where the cheddar is.
Grief is a lie you tell yourself. If you're not rising, you're rotting. You, dead guy, pump yourself up.
We ride for glory.
I guess what I'm saying is, should we be eating surfers?
Will they come to our house?
Breaking. Inferno melts South Pole climate anomaly of the millennium.
What is this, a cloning convention?
I have returned for redemption.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the most incredible event of the season, the annual Squid Figure Skating Championship.
Its unique bioluminescent protein profile is one of the most interesting on the planet.
We weren't ready for that level of volume.
Yeah, hardware is so much better now.
It's still coming! Suction! No tongs!
Whoa! Oh my God! What the heck?
Oh, no, he got hit with the pickaxe.
Oh my God, that's brutal.
Wall Street.
Not gonna lie, better than some percentage of streamers.
Gone wild. Call now.
Limited time offer.
They call it sweet work, but it's bitter inside.
What is happening? We are losing contact with ground control.
It's the rapture.
He lost everything. When life sits you down, sit back with me and Cherry.
Looking for someone seasoned and well marinated? Call us now. Silver Fox Connections.
Killer slides and more at Horrorland.
think I've ever seen something that disgusting.
I can't believe this is a game.
What in the world am I watching?
I do not think. Hick?
Hick?
I do not understand.
And he's still turning! Introducing the all-new chair hat.
Oh, my aching back.
So here we are at the annual Global Summit, where leaders have agreed to meet in a bounce house.
Here come the contenders. Get ready for some action. Oh, the humanity. He is filibustered. He is filibustered, I tell you.
Oh my God, is that who I think it is? Look at him, what a mess.
Let's talk plaque control. Even for extraterrestrial organisms.
Okay, I'd watch this. Very Busey.
No taxation without detonation.
It was the bloodiest day in Magic Kingdom history.
Here in the canopy, fitness is survival and status. Savage Strength, the Jungle Gym. The tension is palpable in the air.
A battle of wills, a true test of patience.
Just a black screen at the end to hit that 9-minute mark. All right. Back to some more educational content. This is Matt Wolf dropped this video. It's 15 minutes in the complete AI timeline. And sorry, bro, we're going to skip your 14 seconds of black screen.
Throughout the history of science fiction, writers, authors, and directors.
That was educational. That was only educational in the observational sense. It was not educational. That was just to show you where AI video is at this point in time.
Directors have come up with a ton of predictions of how the future will be. The Jetsons, Back to the Future, The Terminator, 2001: A Space Odyssey, War Games, Blade Runner, Her. Without fail, these predictions kept feeling further and further away from reality. And then, at some point, we started to see some major breakthroughs. Specifically in AI, whatever that moment was, it totally flipped the script. Now, instead of predictions feeling further away, we're seeing predictions come to pass quicker and quicker. What was once something that could be 2 to 3 years away, we're now seeing in 2 to 3 months. We went from punch cards to this. We went from a perceptron to this video generation. We went from old school phone operators to AI avatars conducting interviews for us. But what was that point?
I mean, I figured it had to be something, Prima, because just out of nowhere, the asshole dropped into chat. It's like, I don't know what that's about, and we're just going to keep on keeping on.
point where
You're
exponential
fine.
growth kicked in and things started to happen way faster than pop culture and human perception could even keep up with. The truth is, it's practically impossible for humans to keep up with and anticipate where all of this AI stuff is gonna go because, well, we really don't have a strong grasp of how exponential growth actually works. Now, to really visualize this, we need to go all the way back to the beginning and look at all of the pivotal moments and huge advancements in AI history, starting with what we'll call the rule-based era of the 1950s through 1970s. We'll call it the rule-based era because back then, AI was really a series of if this, then that statements. So starting in 1950, this is when Alan Turing proposed the Turing test. It was originally called the imitation game, but this was the first time that somebody actually proposed the idea that
That movie, The Imitation Game, quite good.
AI might one day be smart enough that we'll need a test to tell it apart from humans. Fast forward to the summer of 1956, and we have the Dartmouth Summer Research Project. This is when a large group of researchers all came together to try to collectively figure out how to get to smart artificial intelligence. In fact, it was this research project where John McCarthy first coined the term artificial intelligence, all the way back in 1956. Then in 1957, Frank Rosenblatt developed the perceptron. This is when they started using weighted inputs to get a desired output. Think of it like this. If you're trying to get a desired output from a machine and you have a bunch of data to give that machine to help you come up with the desired output, well, the data that you gave that machine may not all be as important as the other data in that machine. So what do? You give weight to the various data that you put in. Some data is weighted higher than others to help get the desired output. They also got to use these cute little sheets of paper with darkened boxes to represent the weights. Then in 1966, the world got its first AI chatbot called Eliza. It was created by Joseph Weizenbaum out of MIT, and it was designed to be like an AI psychologist. Eliza would ask you how you were feeling and then follow up with another question based on your response. Eliza might ask, "How are you feeling today?" You might respond, "I'm feeling okay." Eliza would say, "Why are you feeling okay?" Then you might say, "I didn't get a great night's sleep last night." Then Eliza would reply, "Why didn't you get a good night's sleep last night?" "Maybe I went to bed too late." "Why did you go to bed too late?" And so on. It would essentially take what you just answered with and then turn it into a why.
And surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Resistance is futile.
What up, Raiders? What up, ADT? What up, Michael? What up, Heat? If you don't know me, I'm Globus the Elder. I talk about AI, automation, robots, and future tech, and we are getting learnt up in here. We are speed running all sorts of videos.
Question,
Good to see
mimicking
you,
a psychologist that's trying to get you to go deeper and deeper with why you're feeling the way you're feeling. But not long after the AI world,
Samson, why did Wolf Glen get Labatt Ice and the Raiders get Kool-Aid? That seems rude.
was hit with its first AI winter from the 1970s all the way through the mid-1980s. A report came out that was critical of the perceptron concept, causing people to lose faith in the direction of AI. As a result, funding dried up and, well, computers just weren't powerful enough yet for people to really do what they wanted to do with them. But then in the mid-80s, we saw a bit of a resurgence with the machine learning era. This era was defined by data-driven AI.
What up, Krail? Sure. I don't disagree.
AI was starting to learn from patterns inside of data rather than just from if this then that sort of rule-based statements. And in 1986, a trio of researchers, Jeffrey Hinton, Dave Rumelhart, and Ronald Williams, released the backpropagation algorithm. This was a method of deep training and the very beginning of neural networks. In the same way that the perceptron would take weighted inputs and turn it into your outputs, this backpropagation algorithm did essentially the same thing. It was just a more digitized version that used modern computers at the time. However, a big difference with backpropagation was that it could take its own outputs and then turn around and feed them back into the system and learn from its own mistakes. It would repeat this process and feed the outputs back in again, constantly adjusting its own weights until you finally receive the desired outcome. This was a huge advancement for being able to train neural networks. Then in 1989, Yann LeCun developed LeNet while working at Bell Labs. Now, LeNet was one of the first and probably the most influential convolutional neural network. This is a neural network that can actually recognize and understand what it's looking at. And pretty much all modern image recognition algorithms that are in use today are still using a very similar method to what Yann LeCun created back in 1989. But after that, things got quiet again, and we were hit with the second AI winter. Companies went bankrupt, research funding dried up, and, well, skepticism towards AI was on the rise. But then in 1997, AI took center stage again when IBM—
Your pudding is not just pudding. Your pudding is fancy pudding. It's an important distinction. Never lower your value.
Deep Blue beat Garry Kasparov at chess. Kasparov was the reigning world chess champion, and to this day, still considered one of the best chess players ever. Now, while technically Deep Blue used a rule-based model to beat Kasparov, it put AI center stage for the world again. Then in 1999, NVIDIA released the GeForce 256. This is widely considered to be the first modern GPU. While CPUs were designed to do really complex processing, sort of one calculation at a time, GPUs were able to do a whole bunch of slightly simpler tasks simultaneously. While this wasn't specifically a huge moment for AI, spoiler alert, GPUs become a pretty big deal in the future. Fast forward to 2006, and Geoffrey Hinton created the first deep belief network. This was a defining moment because AI was now able to learn based on a ton of data without requiring a whole bunch of human labeling. Before DBNs, AI was limited to how quickly humans could actually feed the machine, but now AI could learn on its own. And then in 2007, something truly game-changing happened. NVIDIA released CUDA, which stands for Compute Unified Device Architecture. This actually allowed developers to start to use GPUs for general purpose development. Before this, they were primarily used just to make your games look better. Now they can be used for anything. And this was it. This was the moment where things really started to ramp up. Over the next few years, engineers and researchers and scientists really started to figure out what they can do with these GPUs combined with this new CUDA architecture, and it led us into the third era, the era we're in right now, the deep learning era. The deep learning era is defined by using multiple neural networks. Now, to define a deep neural network, let me quickly explain a neural network. A regular neural network is where you have an input, there's a hidden layer where the processing happens, and then after the processing happens, you get the output. With a regular neural network, there's only one hidden layer in between the input and the output. With a deep neural network, it's like passing it through a whole bunch of hidden layers inside of the neural network now, instead of it just passing through one layer. So you give it an input, and it essentially passes through all sorts of different neural networks before finally coming out as the output. They're much more complex, but also gave the ability for AIs to become much smarter. And once scientists figured out how to use deep neural networks with GPUs and this CUDA architecture, things exploded. In 2011, IBM's Watson won on Jeopardy, once again bringing AI to the forefront of the world's consciousness. It was also the year that Apple launched Siri, and we got the first AI voice assistant. Then in 2012, Google Brain demonstrated unsupervised feature learning. They gave it unlabeled YouTube videos, and it was able to actually figure out what was in those videos. In 2013, DeepMind's DQN learned how to play Atari games at a superhuman level. Then in 2014, we got GANs, or Generative Adversarial Networks, which was the first system that allowed AI to generate realistic images and deepfakes. In 2015, Google started deploying TPUs, or tensor processing units, instead of GPUs. They were like GPUs, but specifically designed for machine learning. In 2016, DeepMind's AlphaGo defeated Lee Sedol, the world champion in Go, something that people thought would never be possible from AI. In 2017, the paper Attention is All You Need was published. It introduced the world to the transformer architecture and is still the same architecture that's used in pretty much all modern AI models. In 2018, OpenAI released GPT-1. The T in GPT stands for transformer, which we just mentioned. Now, GPT-1 wasn't very smart yet, but it showed a lot of potential. Then in 2019, OpenAI released GPT-2. This one was massively scaled up, and this is when public concern towards how good these AI models might get started to bubble up. In 2019, we also got AlphaStar from DeepMind, which figured out how to master games like—
We talked about this earlier, the AI play in StarCraft.
Like StarCraft 2. In 2020, we got GPT-3 from OpenAI. This was a massively scaled up model and was the first natural language model that really started to impress people. We also got AlphaFold 2 from DeepMind in 2020. This model was capable of solving the protein—
Now, I don't know how true this is, TN, and everyone, but I have been given to understand by some people who talk to some other people that when you first enter like a query into a chatbot, it does the general prediction of the next token kind of thing. But as you go back and forth with it, it dials down more into what you're actually asking about, right? Because in the way that the chatbots are set up, the priority is speed, and the first response is usually within the ballpark of what they're trying to achieve. The stuff that takes longer is when you start to have a back and forth. Now, I have shown you this before. I open with a good prompt. Like, this is my prompt. Where are you? So in the morning, I do the news show with the articles, and then I use Gemini to create my Substack for taking all those articles that I covered and then just putting them into a form that's readily available for everyone. And if you want to subscribe to the Substack, it's in the down there part. But this is my prompt, right? This is how you should be rolling when it comes to trying to get the AI to do stuff for you. Excuse me. And this was written by Gemini, right? So when I was having Gemini create this prompt, I was like, you're a master prompt engineer. I need a prompt that does this, that, and the third, and like that. And then, there was some more back and forth iteration, especially in this verification portion, to get it, instead of outputting a hallucination, it says like it was unable to, verify the content accurately for the URL and consider providing the text directly. Like this was the final piece to get it where I wanted it to be. And for the most part, I put this in. I attend to any of these errors by providing the text of the article, and we're good to go. If it has access to all the text, I can just use this prompt, put in the URLs at the end, and we're off and running. So one of the things that you should do is, if you're, using AI consistently in order to assist you in whatever your endeavors are, consider having the AI assist you in writing the prompt as opposed to you just trying to write a good prompt. And then work back and forth with it until you get the outcomes that you want. And then over time, you might have to adjust, because this is actually like a later iteration of the prompt that I used to use, which was shorter. The more the more you put into the prompt, the more accurate information you're going to get and the more like dialed in you are. Save time, generally what I do is write a rough prompt and then I throw it into another LLM and ask it to generate a prompt. Use that prompt as my starting point for what I'm trying to do. Fair enough. That's true. I've tried a few times like, dude, help me give you the right instructions to get this done. That's exactly like, take it a step back. If you're getting bad outputs from the AI, look at what you're prompting, right? Before you go blaming the AI, which, you know, don't get me wrong, they still do have hallucinations, etc. But if you're getting bad outcomes from the AI, think about addressing your prompt first. Make sure that you've eliminated that problem before you go trying to figure out, well, maybe this AI doesn't work at all, or maybe AIs in general suck. Yeah, no, absolutely. If you can do that kind of stuff, like custom GPTs or gems with Gemini, absolutely. Especially if you're using a particular set, like that's why I have, the post scarcity paradigm shift custom GPT. I used the, the set of books in the custom GPT as my RAG, my retrieval augmented generation. Yep. No, they absolutely can. It's just, you want reproducible results whenever possible. That's the important thing, right? Like if you're using it to assist you in some endeavor and you need consistency, then you need consistent prompts. That's what you're looking for.
Folding problem, which has accelerated drug discovery and led researchers to now start using AI to formulate new drugs. In 2021, OpenAI released DALL-E 1, the first transformer-based image generation model. In 2022, we got even more image generation models like Midjourney and Stable Diffusion. And then in November of 2022, another huge pivotal moment happened. OpenAI released ChatGPT to the world. It became one of the fastest growing products in history and cemented AI in the entire public's mind. Then in 2023, they upped it even more and launched GPT-4. Also in 2023, Meta released their Llama open source model, which opened the floodgates for future open source large language models. 2023 was also the year that Google launched Gemini. In 2024, OpenAI introduced Sora to the world, showing us that we can actually get realistic videos out of AI. We also saw GPT 4.0 and 0.1 in 2024. In 2025,
the knowledge base almost always is PDF. And how much is going to depend on the variety of stuff that I'm working with, right? Like if I'm only concerned with querying a particular book or, a particular paper, then it'll just be the one. But in like that book list, there's 12 books, something like that, that are contained within the custom GPT, and I've added more as time went on. He did ignore Neopets, and for that, he shall not be forgiven.
NVIDIA released the Blackwell GPUs, which further accelerated the ability to train AI models. We then got GPT 4.5, followed by, for some reason, GPT 4.1, and then Llama 4. And as I record this today, ChatGPT is one of the 10 most visited websites on the entire internet. When you see everything in the way we just presented it, it's a little bit easier to understand the exponential growth. But when you're living it, in the moment, a lot of these huge events.
He didn't specifically mention it, but if you looked on the chart that he threw up there when he was talking about Llama and gestured broadly to like all the open source, DeepSeek was on there. Yes, no, but Bard sucked, Michael. That's the key. Bard was ass.
Events just come and go. So will this trend continue, or will we hit another AI winter? If you look at the previous AI winters, they all involve some sort of funding cut. And with the importance being placed on AI today, the widespread adoption, and every major company really leaning into AI, I'd say it's unlikely to happen. On the other hand, with everything moving so quickly, it's also possible that the next AI winter will come and go before we even notice that it happened. AI is getting so advanced now that AI is helping us advance AI. Humans are no longer the bottleneck, which means things are more likely to keep growing exponentially. I started this video by mentioning that people are kind of unable to understand exponential growth. And what sums up that point more than how we are constantly moving the goalposts? There's a famous line coined by John McCarthy. He said, as soon as it works, no one calls it AI anymore. For example, Alexa, Siri, Google Home, those were original.
This is one of the biggest contentions that ends up happening with people who talk about real AI, right? Is that it's AI until it works, and then it's not AI anymore, right? It's software, or it's this, or it's that, it's whatever, kind of thing. And that's, again, for those of you who are new here, if I'm talking with someone about AI, I ask them what their definition of AI is, and we work off that definition, because it's far easier for me to take their definition of AI and discuss the stuff around that, rather than trying to get them to my definition of AI, which usually involves a lot more resistance, so on and so forth. So it's just easier.
Originally considered AI, and nobody even thinks of them as AI anymore. Alan Turing originally had a concept for what we should be looking out for when applying the Turing test. I think that we can confidently say that today's AI models likely far surpass whatever Alan Turing had in mind back at the time. And what's so crazy to me is that we got to this point and we barely even noticed.
I mean, I noticed. Up next, I can't tell you because it's behind Matt Wolf's picture, but it's something, what everyone gets wrong about AI, something along those lines. It would be nice to have a transferable format, but Gemini struggles with Markdown. Yeah, no, you have to, and again, that's why, like, in the process of generating this, I got it to, where is it? I got it to use descriptive link text for the article URL, and that tends to work well. So it really is, like, spending the time now to work on your prompt pays off, because it's work you don't have to do later. You do have to do some work now, but eventually you get to the point where you're good to go, generally speaking.
You've seen the headlines,
AI.
the viral demos,
Watch Canva code it for you.
AI writing essays, generating photorealistic images, even creating entire videos. It feels like we're living in a sci-fi future, or a dystopian one. But while we've been mesmerized by chatbots and deep fakes, something much more important is happening behind the scenes. AI is solving problems we thought were decades away, from curing diseases to inventing new materials that could reshape our world.
I got you, Larry. I moved it up to make sure that we would get to it, and I made sure that Matt Wolf was something that we were definitely going to get to today, because it's been a while since. If Matt would drop more stuff, what up, Zach? If Matt would drop more stuff in that 15 to 20 minute range, that wasn't like just the same AI news. Unfortunately, we kind of got to pick and choose. How many times do we want to hear about the latest Gemini drop? You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. We have to pick and choose. And unfortunately, Matt has been like kind of dropped to the wayside because other people are getting the same information in like 5 to 7 minutes. and Matt's doing a full 30-minute joint. But that video that we just watched, that is excellent as like especially a primer. We watched. I don't think we watched this one, Zach, but we just watched the Google this fake news joint. Here, take this, Zach. This is fun. Run with that. And then this other one here from free background videos. And creators replaced by a keyboard. That was fun. The AI slop channel surfing was kind of like it was like some good and some bad. I think both of these are a little long. I think the best place is coming in like the 2 minutes or less mark for the AI videos. Keep your videos tight. And, you know, like, do that kind of thing. We'll get back to this, Larry.
Recent studies have revealed that microplastics are being found in human testicles, raising concerns
You can never
about the
trust these
potential impact
studies.
on male reproductive health.
Who's hungry?
That's it. Keep going.
Well, you're so lucky he's naturally buoyant and you don't have to watch him.
Is it Bob?
No, he doesn't need sunscreen or anything. He just gets softer as he warms up.
What up, Big Ben?
Bob, you're leaking.
Bob can't play. If he gets hit, he'll dent.
Don't let plastic end up in landfills. Reduce, reuse, recycle.
What the hell was that?
That's the new commercial for plastic. We think if we humanize plastic, people won't think it's so bad.
Yeah, I don't know. It made me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I just felt bad for it.
Marketing approved that?
No, we fired marketing.
I feel like it's missing action.
Yeah, maybe there could be like a chase or a shootout.
Explosions.
Maybe the Matrix thing.
Maybe his plastic gets stronger as he gets older.
Maybe he gets revenge, to the people that were mean to him.
He's got a gun!
I think one of the things, like, we've talked about that AI voice where you can hear, like, that staticky bit, and, like, that's not happening here. And it's like, another couple papers, right? Another couple months down the road, and shoo.
Who?
Bob from marketing!
Cover me, I'll get to the side. I can't believe this is happening. Here they come.
Get down, get down!
It's Bob from marketing.
Fucking Bob.
Oh, hell yeah. Now that's what I'm talking about. So that whole first half was like an origin story, right?
Should we greenlight it?
Yes, but not for TV. Put it on social media.
Where it can go viral.
All right, let's get back to work.
This is GTA 6. Yeah. Thank you, Zach. Yes, it quite good. Quite good. All right, from the top. Why the AI revolution has a fatal flaw.
You've seen the headlines,
AI.
the viral demos,
Watch Canva code it for you.
AI writing essays, generating photorealistic images, even creating entire videos. It feels like we're living in a sci-fi future, or a dystopian one. But while we've been mesmerized by chatbots and deep fakes, something much more important is happening behind the scenes. AI is solving problems we thought were decades away, from curing diseases to inventing new materials that could reshape our world. And yet, there's a catch, a paradox. Because this same AI revolution that's supposedly going to create incredible wealth for companies might be laying the groundwork for an economic collapse that threatens the very progress it's helping to create. Let's dive into the most overlooked part of the AI revolution and the economic flaw that could unravel it. I'm Matt Farrell. Welcome to Undecided.
What up, Joint Specialist? Is this, are we doing the contradictions that exist between AI and capitalism are going to be the thing that unravels capitalism, and we better act on it accordingly? Because if so, what up, Froggy?
This video is brought to you by Surfshark. This video is a little bit of a different one for me. Usually I focus on the brighter side of tech advances that are impacting our lives. But over the past few weeks, I've seen several YouTube videos that took the spark of an idea that was quietly flickering in the back of my mind and doused gasoline on it. Many of these videos kept bringing up the incredible financial potential for companies that are building the hardware that's powering this AI revolution, like NVIDIA with its GPUs or Tesla with its future Optimus robots. It always comes down to something like Company X is valued at Y dollar market cap because of the incredible future potential of what they're doing with AI and robotics. But let's start with what most people are missing in that conversation. When you hear AI, what comes to mind? Maybe the latest news about ChatGPT 4.1, or maybe Midjourney or Sora. I've been using tools like ChatGPT and Perplexity more and more to help with early research and parsing the news for YouTube videos, or looking through large documents and research papers to find the exact sections that I'm interested in. I use it kind of like Google search on steroids. Now, these tools are amazing and sometimes horrifying, but they're just the tip of the iceberg. Large language models, or LLMs, may be getting all the buzz, but AI tools go far beyond that. Take material science, for example. Scientists used to spend years, sometimes decades, trying to find just the right compounds for better batteries or solar panels or superconductors. But now, well, AI is accelerating that process exponentially. DeepMind recently predicted the properties of over 2.2 million new inorganic materials, compared to the roughly 50,000 inorganic materials previously cataloged by the Materials Project. Microsoft's MatterGen goes even further. It's a generative AI trained specifically to discover new materials.
I'm sorry, this is what you asked about earlier, Prima. And no, I don't have an alternative for this. This is way beyond my skill set and whatnot.
Now, what used to take entire research teams years now takes weeks or even days.
We are able to generate materials, not at random, but targeted for specific applications.
The implications are staggering. Better batteries, faster electronics, cleaner energy. And what's more, this doesn't just stay in the lab. A recent collaboration between AI researchers and Microsoft have newly discovered materials to prototype batteries with up to 70% less lithium. It's already influencing next-gen consumer tech. Then there's medicine. AI is helping to detect cancer earlier, designing drugs faster, and even assist in gene editing. Companies like NewMedi are using AI to find new treatments for diseases like cystic fibrosis and sickle cell anemia. A recent study found AI could improve early-stage cancer diagnosis, which could literally save millions of lives. AI is also being used to simulate complex drug interactions, saving billions in research and helping to get treatments to patients faster. And it doesn't stop there. From product development to climate modeling, AI is driving innovation at a pace that we've never seen before. For example, Pepsi, of all the companies, used AI to reduce product development cycles by 40%, leading to lower emissions and better aligned consumer preferences. And BMW.
Is there any more American headline than how PepsiCo makes the perfect Cheetos with the help of autonomous AI? Oh, I don't think he's saying it's bad. I don't think he's saying it's bad. This headline is America as fuck.
Emissions and better aligned consumer preferences. And BMW now uses AI not just in design, but to optimize entire supply chains, shaving off inefficiencies that once cost them millions. So if all of this sounds like great news, it's because it is, or at least it should be. But here's where the story starts to twist. Now, before we unpack the economic twist that could flip this whole story on its head, let's take a second to talk about protecting your digital world in this age of AI. I was just on a trip to a geothermal conference, and between the conference Wi-Fi hotspots
You're supposed to trick people into sticking around for the ad.
and the hotel Wi-Fi, I leaned heavily on Surfshark VPN to keep my connection from going upside down on me in terms of security and privacy. I've been using Surfshark for
VPNs vary in quality.
Surfshark is a fast, easy-to-use VPN full of incredible features that you can install on an
Some of them say that they don't sell your data and whatnot.
shopping services will sometimes gate prices.
I don't know, baby. Right?
So you
Like,
can change your location to make sure you're getting the best deal. They also have add-ons to their VPN service to unlock things like
I heard
Surfshark
Proton
Alert, which will let
doesn't
you
do
know if
that.
your email or personal details like passwords have been
Your
leaked
mileage
or
may
released.
vary.
Right now, they're running a special deal.
It doesn't hurt to try and protect yourself.
Or use code undecided at checkout to get 4 additional months for free. Surfshark
It's a
offers
good
security
argument,
money-back
Larry.
guarantee, so
It could be
there's no risk
true.
to try it out for yourself.
And that's where I am at, Abby. Like,
Don't miss out on this great
it's,
deal. The link's in the description below, and thanks to Surfshark and to all of you
you
who
know,
supported the channel. And with your digital life safely locked down, let's unlock the real plot.
I am. That's I actually do. I actually do sell my own data, Zach. I sell my data directly to Google. I do something on my phone, and then Google will send me a little survey, and it will say, what did you think about this? What did you think about that? What did you think about the other thing? And I answer their little questions, and I get anywhere from 10 cents to $1. And I have like $12 in Google Cash. You know. Yeah, no, absolutely. I have
I
a
don't know
friend.
who I am anymore. I'm getting too much money.
And then there's that, Larry. I have a friend who is Alexa'd up, right? To the point where they have the little tablet on a stick. And when you say, like, hey, Alexa, it turns the tablet in your direction. And it's like, yo.
Twist in the AI revolution, because this same tech that's driving insane innovation might also be driving us straight toward an economic cliff.
There's no question artificial intelligence will remake the workplace.
AI is replacing human tasks faster than you might think.
Artificial intelligence could replace millions of jobs.
And this right here is my biggest contention with people who feed into the idea that AI is just slop. It doesn't do anything well. It doesn't do like it's garbage. It, you know, that kind of shit. What up, Maddie? Like it's happening, right? It's happening. The like tasks are being replaced with AI. And it's not that the AI is crap and they're eventually going to have to hire back humans to fix all the AI crap. It's the opposite, right? It's sufficient quality that they can not hire more people, that they can let go a whole bunch of people who like are in their, you know, the learning portion of their journey that eventually would lead them to bigger and better stuff. I'm not saying that that's a good thing. I'm saying that that's what's happening, and you have to understand the world as it currently exists rather than how you want it to be and just pretend it's like that as the shit, because it's going to steamroll the fuck over you. right? You're going to turn around one day and you're going to have to leave your fucking job because you didn't learn to use the tool that your job is going to require. Now, you can adamantly disagree with the tool. Maybe you should go find a different job, that kind of thing. But if you need that job, you should learn to use the AI tool so that you are the last person standing in that office when the CEO is replaced with AI and the middle managers are all replaced with AI and all the people who said, well, I don't want to use AI are replaced with AI. I would rather all of you within the earshot of my voice be the last people standing at that point in time. But you do you, boo. What'd you say? For organic compounds, the yield is 50-50, and that's comparably simple to try. On the other hand, you might need a furnace or further processing step for the generated material. Yeah, no, just because the AI has figured out the structure does not mean that it's actually been created in the lab. And while that number is really big, a lot of the materials that are indicated within that don't really have a practical use at this point in time. So it's important to caveat that thing. There's a company, Cape Technologies with a K, that owns a couple VPN companies recently heard of. It's Israeli. It's something to watch out for. PIA and ExpressVPN for two. And this is what I'm saying. Like, I mean, you might have, yes, I can use VO. Real quick, the intro video here. That intro video, not the robot, but the thing behind it, that is created with VO. Excuse me. AI is very good at creating those visualization type things. Even if like, let's say there's a VPN and they say, we're not going to sell your data. We're super cool. We're the best of the best. And you're like, cool. And then you sign up with them. And then 6 months down the road, they get bought out by another company and nobody tells you, right? Maybe you get an email that said, hey, we updated our terms of service. And in that email that you didn't read, it says, we updated our terms of service because we got bought by a new company and we're going to use all your data to train on AI. And also we're tracking you wherever you go. And we're also going to sell your data to the highest bidder because your data, along with everybody else, is going to make us a bunch of money, right? That's the thing that you have to watch out for, you know? Just don't put too much stock in that idea that you can do that. Now, there are people in this community who absolutely advocate for like de-Googling your life and like using things like Proton, their services, and, you know, like trying to remove your digital footprint to the best of your ability. And there are absolutely good arguments to do that. It's it's the classic balance between security and utility, right? You're going to, if you value one more, you're going to lose access to some of the other one, right? It's actually getting a little ridiculous. My partner's microwave has Alexa and can't even set the time unless it's connected to Wi-Fi. It works without it, but yeah. My dryer connects to Wi-Fi. My washer does not. Even though it says right on there that it does. And I like the fact that I get a little alert on my phone that tells me when the dryer's done and I can go change the shit. So yeah.
The same AI that's helping to cure disease and build better tech is also replacing human workers.
We're not doing the data thing, all right?
At an unprecedented rate. Goldman Sachs estimates that 300 million full-time jobs could be replaced by AI in the coming years.
Yeah, at CMS, it's distinctly possible that you know, but again, we watched a video with a robot that's doing stuff. And again, the reason I started doing this is because I thought my art career was safe from artificial intelligence and automation. And it was not.
That's not a sci-fi scenario. That's from one of the largest investment firms in the world. Customer service, banking, logistics, finance, entire sectors are being automated. A 2023 survey by Resume Builder found that 37% of companies using AI had already laid off workers, and another 44% expected to in 2024. Even creative industries aren't immune. AI tools are already writing marketing copy, generating visuals for ad campaigns, and even scripting rough drafts of TV shows. It should be obvious why this concerns me personally. AI is coming for my job. In the earliest years of my career, I did UI and graphic design work and got paid good money to work in Photoshop. Now there are tools that I use today that can isolate the subject of a photo, drop it into a completely different space, blend the lighting conditions, and give me a fantastic looking YouTube thumbnail. All from a text prompt and attaching some source photos. No Photoshop required anymore. I'm still part of the process as the...
You want to see something scary? This is related to AI. This guy is apparently a congressman. And I used Gemini and I used Google image search attempting to identify who this person is, and came up like fail, right? It gave me a bunch of Troy Balderson, Bob Latta. I think you're doing crime. I am confident you're doing crime. In like all these names, I ran all the names, and I have no idea who this fucking guy is, and that concerns me. Did Fox News put a fake congressman on TV in order to sell a talking point? The closest I got was Mike Carey. That Mike Carey might be... Well, yes, he did say that he worked for Doge, but Bartoloma said, kept referring to him as congressman, right? That's what threw me. Like, if this guy grew a beard, I don't know, a tin eye, I don't know what tin eye is. Zero matches. This dude. Hey, I just met you. This is crazy. Here's my number. Call me baby. That is definitely a name. I hope it is a good name and not a weird name. Like a DVD screensaver when the brain cell hits the corner perfectly. I have a single thought. Yeah. Smart appliances should offer a certain percentage of features that are accessible offline. It's becoming increasingly unreasonable to buy a product that is barely functional without an internet connection. True. It's our first AI congressman. Something weird is afoot. Shenanigans are afoot. Mike Rooley? Maybe. I think we have a winner. That is Mike Ruley. I have a high degree of confidence. Nice job. Nice job, Pharaoh. Do you ever watch those videos of like where somebody does something and they're like, oh, look at this fucking thing I did. And then there's another person who's like fucking doing all sorts of internet sleuthing and they know exactly where you are at what place at what time in a fucking thing. And it's like, and this is what happens. So you're actually full of shit. That's what I feel like just happened.
Human and the creator.
So he's a congressman. You can't dox a congressman.
In theory, these tools boost productivity. That means fewer people are needed to produce a given.
I didn't see it. I believe you, Samsons. I believe that, like, I looked at it, but again, I was looking at it on my phone, and all I saw was the Chiron saying something about some bullshit before the dude went off. Also, fuck that guy, right? Fuck that guy.
Thing. You can do more with less. And that creates a chilling question. If more people are out of work, who's left to buy the products and services that these companies are offering? That's the paradox. Because in economics, there's an assumption that productivity leads to prosperity. But if AI automates people out of income, the demand side of the equation starts to collapse. This is what most people and most businesses aren't talking about. So let's break it down. Companies like Tesla aren't just building cars anymore, they're building robots. CEO Elon Musk has said that Tesla's value will eventually rest more on Optimus, their AI-powered humanoid robot, than on their cars. And Tesla is betting big on AI, not just for self-driving vehicles, but also for fully autonomous manufacturing and service robots. Their stock price reflects this belief, with analysts pricing in trillions in future revenue from products that don't yet exist. But who will buy those cars or anything else if automation leads to mass unemployment? It's a feedback loop with dangerous implications. We saw this kind of paradox before in a very different form. It's called the Jevons paradox, when efficiency gains lead to more consumption, not less.
If I never hear the phrase Jevons paradox again, it'll be too soon.
In the 19th century, as steam engines became more efficient at using coal use didn't fall. It skyrocketed. People found even more ways to burn it, driving up overall demand. Efficiency didn't solve the problem, it made it worse. But with AI, we see the reverse happening. Greater efficiency leads to job loss, which leads to less consumer spending, even as companies ramp up production. Let's call it the AI economic paradox. This isn't just a theory. We're already seeing early signs. Companies save money by automating, but consumer demand isn't rising fast enough to match. Imagine this at scale. AI enables a biotech company to develop a revolutionary
I wonder if he's going to get around to it.
New drug. But because millions are out of work, no one can afford them. Or AI invents a super battery, but EV demand shrinks because people are struggling to make rent. Or retail companies use AI to optimize supply chains and logistics, reducing their need for warehouse staff and drivers, only to see their revenue decline because those same workers can no longer afford to shop. We're not just talking about lost jobs, we're talking about an entire economic structure potentially undermining itself. The system is designed with a key assumption, that automation leads to lower prices and lower prices leads to more buying. But it's only true if people have income. If AI replaces humans in a way that severs that income and no replacement system is created, the whole thing starts to fall apart.
Millions of people could be out of jobs. So who's going to retrain those people? Because if we don't figure that out, there could be social unrest because of joblessness.
That's a wrong fucking question, bro. Who's going to retrain them to do what? This is the H-bomber guy busting through the wall. Sell the fucking houses to who, Ben? Fucking Aquaman, right? Like, if AI is eating the jobs, then retrain them to do what? We're all going to dig ditches, or we're all going to be hydraulic engineers, right? Like, it's just, you're pushing us farther and farther into a smaller area of jobs in order to do them, you know? They're one step away from the answer. We'll see if they get there.
And to be fair, there's a counter-argument that AI won't just take jobs, it will create new ones too.
While it's feared AI technology could take our jobs, new research shows it's creating new roles across multiple industries.
And that's true to a point. The World Economic Forum estimates AI will eliminate 85 million jobs by 2025, but create 97 million new ones in fields like data science, AI safety, and robotics. And remember that scary-sounding Goldman Sachs report earlier that said 300 million jobs?
Imagine spending 12 years of grade school and 4 to 6 years of college, and you finally get a job doing whatever the fuck, and then AI replaces you, and you just need to retrain to do some other job that requires an advanced degree. Like, holy shit, dude.
Jobs will be lost in the coming years? Well, there's a more recent analysis from the company looking at longer-term possibilities. In that report, they project a 7% increase in global GDP and a 1.5 percentage point boost in productivity over a 10-year period.
Can baby eat GDP? Right? Can I fill my car's tank with GDP? Dave Shapiro calls this the great decoupling in Dave Shapiro's hyperbolic way. But it's accurate, right? GDP is decoupled from work, right? Like GDP is this imaginary number that like is driven by things that have nothing to do with how you and I live our lives, right? I mean, as far as I know, the United States has one of the highest, if not the highest GDP in the world, and I'm still living hand to mouth. So what am I going to do with your GDP, homie?
Sounds like a good trade, right? But here's the rub. With those assumptions, many of those new jobs that people will transition into require highly specialized skills. And historically, when industries transform, workers don't always transition easily. Take this example. Between 2000 and 2010, the US lost 5.6 million manufacturing jobs. By 2010, only 39% of displaced manufacturing workers were reemployed, and most who found new jobs earned less than before.
Right? Like, we don't even need to talk about AI, right? This is just the way that things have already gone.
The AI job boom is concentrated in metro areas with strong tech sectors like San Francisco, Boston, and Shenzhen. That leaves behind rural and industrial communities without access to retraining and relocation support. Plus, even the new jobs being created can often involve supervising or refining AI systems that are doing the actual labor. A single AI manager might oversee processes that used to take 50 people, so the net employment effect is still uncertain.
The net employment effect is still uncertain. No, it's certain, right? Because that's my argument. What up, Hydran? When people talk about like, oh, it's going to create new jobs, it's like, but is it going to create enough new jobs? It is not, right? If one person can oversee processes that used to take 50 people, you're down 49 off jump. What are those 49 people going to do? I don't want to do my job. I've been breaking my balls for 25 years, working in all kinds of weather, unsafe conditions, etc. It sucks. I hate it, but I'm so deep. If I change jobs, I wouldn't make the same amount of money. It's miserable. Yeah. No, I get you. Right? Like, that's the other thing that happens, is that you kind of get locked in.
Severs that income and if AI replaces humans in a way that severs that income and no replacement system is created, the whole thing starts to fall apart.
Millions of people could be out of jobs. So who's going to retrain those people? Because if we don't figure that out, there could be social unrest because of joblessness.
That's a wrong fucking question, bro. Who's going to retrain them to do what? This is the H-bomber guy busting through the wall. Sell the fucking houses to who, Ben? Fucking Aquaman, right? Like, if AI is eating the jobs, then you retrain them to do what? We're all going to dig ditches, or we're all going to be hydraulic engineers, right? Like, it's just, you're pushing us farther and farther into a smaller area of jobs in order to do them, you know? That guy's smart. Exactly.
And here's something that rarely gets mentioned. Not everyone wants or is suited for retraining into tech. We can't expect a 58-year-old factory worker in Ohio to seamlessly become a machine learning engineer. So while new jobs may come, the distribution of those jobs and the time it takes to retrain may...
You don't have to listen to me, Pharaoh. You can always rely on the fact that the bubble is going to burst any day now, and therefore you don't have to worry about any of this. You cannot concern yourself with what the future is going to look like. It's going to look like the past when the bubble bursts any day now. It's unsustainable.
Not match the pace of disruption. This isn't just a labor market issue, it's a social and political one. If we don't address the mismatch, we risk pushing more people into poverty, increasing inequality and fueling social unrest.
The risk is if we don't do anything about it now to retrain some of these people or to prepare for a post-AI employment landscape, we will have issues with a deepening divide between the haves and have-nots, the wealthy and the paycheck-to-paycheck people.
And we've seen what happens when economic shocks aren't handled well.
That Larry fucking
2008 financial crisis led to years of stagnation and massive erosion of public trust. The COVID-19 pandemic accelerated.
Stallman, like, I mean, like, the fuck?
Automation even further, particularly in logistics, food service, and retail, permanently eliminating millions of jobs. And now AI is supercharging that trend. A 2022 study published in the journal Demography found that an increase in automation between 1993 and 2007 led to increases in drug overdose deaths, suicide, homicide, and cardiovascular mortality. And these aren't abstract numbers, they're indicators of human suffering. Automation without safeguards doesn't just harm the unemployed, it weakens the entire economy. Consumer spending drops, innovation slows down, tax revenues fall, governments struggle to fund social programs. It creates a cycle that's incredibly hard to break. The thing that really kind of freaks me out, the companies at the center of this transformation are not incentivized to slow down. In fact, markets reward them for doing the opposite.
Cursor has reportedly hit a $9 billion valuation, a sign of just how quickly AI first coding or vibe coding is growing in Silicon.
Samson's, I mean, I agree with you. I don't think so. But it's still possible. We still got 2 minutes, right? Yeah, Amazon, you can directly publish to Amazon. Now there's a lot of AI slop showing up on Amazon, right? And it's legitimately not good. Like, if you make a field guide to mushrooms, you should make sure that your book is accurate, right? I don't have a problem with people using AI to write the books that show up on Amazon, right? That's totally good. It's incumbent on the individual who signs his name to, or her name or their name or what have you, to the thing, that they are responsible for the issue, you know? Yeah, Larry, that is, you're talking about, you know, the general liberal mindset, right? Again, if you go and you watch the Social Dilemma, the Social Dilemma gets 90% of the way to the problem and then just says it's Facebook doing capitalism wrong. No, and that's perfect, right? Writing books about tourism and you have the experience to double check the information that you're putting out there, that's perfect, Stubman. That sounds great.
Valley.
OpenAI announcing a record-breaking $40 billion deal.
So unless governments, institutions, and society as a whole intervene, we may be heading for a future where innovation explodes and prosperity implodes. So what do we do? There are ideas out there. Some are highly controversial. Others are still in pilot phases. One very controversial proposal is universal basic income, a flat monthly payment to all citizens.
The word controversial is like 99% of the time, if you use the word controversial, I want to fight you, right? I want to fight you because it ain't controversial, dude. It ain't controversial. There's no controversy. Out of all of the UBI programs that have ever been tried, all of them work. All of them have been effective. The controversy is ginned up by fucking... I want to fight you for other reasons, Maddie. I joke. I don't want to fight any of you. The controversy is ginned up by conservatives who think people don't want to work anymore and all that fucking horseshit, right? Like it's that fucking thing. Controversial. It's not controversial, right? Sneeko is not controversial. Andrew Tate is not controversial. They're fucking douchebags, right? Like I will.
That ensures a minimum standard of living. Now, this would decouple survival from employment and give people time to retrain, start businesses, or just live with dignity. In Finland, a basic income...
So close. And then, well, have you tried just starting a business? There we go. You know how many businesses I've started? Like literally, like I have multiple businesses. Oh my God.
Trial showed increased well-being, health, and small business formation, even though it didn't significantly increase employment. Another idea is an AI dividend, or tax or licensing fee on companies that automate jobs, which gets redistributed to displaced workers or invested in job retraining. There's also reskilling programs, but they need to be dramatically scaled. And finally, there's the idea of decentralized AI ownership, models where AI tools are open source and co-owned by cooperatives or communities, so that the economic value created doesn't concentrate in just a few hands. Now, these aren't magic bullets, but they represent a shift in thinking from maximizing efficiency at all costs to designing for inclusion and resilience. We're at a pivotal moment. The decisions we make now will determine whether AI becomes a force for broad human flourishing or just another engine for inequality. The AI revolution isn't coming, it's already here. But the most important breakthroughs, like the ones in medicine, energy, and science, are being overshadowed by flashy demos and short-term profit goals. We need to look deeper, because the real risk isn't AI turning evil or taking over the world. It's all of us using it so recklessly that we destroy the very systems that let innovation thrive. AI could solve some of the biggest challenges humanity has ever faced.
Fucking dude. Capitalism is not a system that lets innovation thrive. Literally, human beings have innovation baked in. Innovation is what we do, right? Have you ever seen, like, I'm not saying that all innovation is like good innovation, right? You ever see those videos of some fucking, dude, and he's got a tiny car and he's got fucking lumber sticking out both ends of the thing, or some shit where they're driving a motorcycle and it fucking does something weird. Like, there's so much fucking innovation that humans do for free. It's ridiculous. Now, a lot of it doesn't have broad utility, but that's fine. That's fine. Fine. Innovation is what we do. It's fundamental to the human existence. Capitalism restricts that by putting everything behind a paywall.
But only if we solve the AI paradox first. But what do you think? Do you use AI tools today? Do you think AI will be a net benefit or a net negative? Like I said, this is something that's been bouncing around the back of my head for some time now, and I definitely do not have the answers and want to hear your thoughts on the topic. Jump into the comments and let me know. And be sure to listen to my follow-up podcast, Still to be Determined, where we'll keep this conversation going. Thanks as always to my patrons for your continued support and helping to keep the channel going.
Oh, no, I didn't want to do that.
You've seen the headlines.
AI.
The viral demos.
Watch.
Up next, MSNBC, a white-collar bloodbath.
A new piece that just posted on Axios.com moments ago, taking a critical look at the future of artificial intelligence. It's a pretty incredible piece. It's entitled Behind the Curtain, a white-collar bloodbath. That could be the result of AI.
Well, yeah, and you know, Jim.
Like, if you replace these two people with AI avatars, make me an argument that it would be an improvement, right? Like, Christ.
People that run AI companies don't want to talk about it. They want to pretend it's not going to happen. Silicon Valley wants to pretend it's...
They literally told you it was going to happen. Sam Altman is, Altman is terrible. He's a CEO. He's a billionaire CEO, etc., etc. Sam Altman ran the largest UBI test run in American history. They came to Congress and they said, we need regulation and other shit because y'all, shit's getting wild. The idea that Joe Scarborough just said that people that run the AI companies are pretending it's not happening. They told you it's happening.
It's not going to happen. Wall Street doesn't really want to talk about it. But the fact is, as you report, just like the technological revolution, the IT revolution gutted blue-collar workers throughout the 90s and beyond, you're now talking about a bloodbath for white-collar workers because of AI. And from what you've seen and what you're reporting on, it is going to be a bloodbath for workers.
I mean, that is certainly the warning of Dario Amodei, who is the CEO of Anthropic. And just for your viewers, Anthropic is one of the top creators of this AI, these large language models in the world. So he has better visibility than probably all but 2 or 3 people in the world into the power of this technology. He'd been telling us in private for a while that this bloodbath could be coming, but that lawmakers don't want to talk about it. The federal government doesn't want to talk about it. AI companies don't want to spook people. We finally convinced him.
Literally saying, we want to automate all the jobs. We're trying to automate all these things, all human labor, right? They're literally full of shit. These 3 people are literally full of shit. Like, if I look in his mouth, I can literally see shit because he's full. Topped off.
To go on the record, and his point is, listen, just play with this technology, not just casually. Once you really dive into it, you realize it can do the work already of researchers, of analysts, of a whole host of entry-level white-collar jobs. And he put it in the starkest of terms. He said, like, based on their early analysis, over a 5-year period, it could wipe out half of white-collar entry-level jobs. Unemployment could spike to 10 to 20% in the next 5 years. And this is a guy who's building the technology, who's boasting about the power of it. And when we push him,
how do you say that they don't want to talk about it when you, and then say that he was talking about it? Like, how do people watch this? How do
and then if you're building it, like, how do you morally kind of think about it in your own mind? And he said, I have an obligation to build the technology. I also have an obligation to get the federal government, to get lawmakers, to get other AI companies to figure out how do we prepare the American worker and how do we protect the American worker. And so, you know, as someone who runs a company, I run Axios as a CEO, I spend an inordinate amount of time studying AI and how it's going to play out just in my space of media. And I can guarantee you in the next 5 years, it's going to radically transform the makeup of our company. Well, every single company in the world is doing this. Every CEO is sitting there saying, should I fill this role?
And who the fuck is this guy? This team of, who's the fucking guy from Swingers and volleyball? Or dodgeball and that. What a bro. Who's this fucking guy just shows up the fucking nod. Tom T. ass kisser.
Should I open this role?
Where's your fucking eyebrow? Not Ben Stiller, the serious guy. What up, Spectrophotic?
Will a machine do this better than man in the next couple of years? When you see data out about the difficulty.
I'm stuck. God, I hate having a brain like this. Cass. Vince Vaughn. Dude looks like fucking Temu Vince Vaughn.
Of college grads finding new jobs, this is one of the early telltale signs that this could be coming. And so I think the column is very much worth a read. I wish lawmakers spent more time thinking about this rather than some of the small ball things that they debate day to day.
It's been fascinating to see many of the people who are developing AI technology, Jim, offering warnings about what's coming because of it. And in your interview, he effectively says, you cannot stop this train. It's coming down the tracks. This is happening. I think the way he puts it in your interview, though, is you can steer it a little bit. What does that look like? What does steering it look like?
In his mind, I think it's sounding the alarm. It's like, listen, we got to have a national debate that this isn't 10 years from now. It could be 6 months from now. It could be 12 months from now.
We don't have time for a national debate. We don't have time for a conversation. We don't have time for more studies. We don't have time for anything. UBI, successful. Run that shit. Fire it up. Run it.
Then there has to be a debate about, okay, how do you make sure that workers are prepared to use artificial intelligence to augment their work, not displace their work? That's what we've been doing at Axios. We give everybody access to the technology. We have a deal with OpenAI. We make sure that every single unit, no matter what your job is already playing with this to figure out how are you going to augment your work so you don't get displaced by it. Hell, I told my own...
No. See, okay. This sounds good, right? I, as a CEO, will issue a directive within my company that I want, I don't want people losing their jobs because I actually have some semblance of a soul. So I want everyone to learn to use the tools to augment their abilities, so on and so forth. And then another company says, fuck all that. The AI can, in fact, replace the workers. So we're going to replace the workers. And look, our labor costs drop through the fucking floor. So our ROI to our investors is much higher. And, oh, Axios, you don't have any money anymore. So how are you going to run your business? This is the inherent problem with trying to use protectionism to protect the jobs of American workers, or any workers anywhere in the world, because I'm a citizen of the goddamn world. The fundamental flaw with that is it only works as long as the AI can't do the jobs. As soon as the AI can do the jobs and I can just automate it, I will undercut you every single fucking time. I will provide more ROI, and therefore I win. That's how the capitalism is currently played. Citizens of the goddamn world.
Staff, you're committing career suicide if you're not spending 10% of your day experimenting with the technology. And I don't think most people are. I think people are like, whoa, this is too science fiction, or, it's a really neat search engine. They're not actually looking at the capabilities. They don't have the time. They have real lives. But I think Dario's point was they might not wake up until it's way too late. And if lawmakers are way too late to it, you could have real issues. You could have unemployment, as he said, 10 to 20% if he's right, which would then lead to obvious political unrest. We have Steve Bannon on the record in there saying he thinks the exact same thing is going to play out. He said Trump's not talking about it, but he thinks this will be maybe the biggest topic of the 2028 presidential election.
I mean, you have Steve Bannon on the right. You have other people on the left very concerned about this. And Jim, you underlined a point that I've actually told my kids, which is if you're going into an interview, if you're going into anything where you are going to be talking and you want to understand a topic, it's just foolish not to go on to a search engine app, an AI search engine app, and dig in deep to try to understand.
That's accurate, but like Joe is way past his sell-by date at this point.
A company that you're talking to or an issue that you're talking about better. It is Elizabeth, it is the future. The future is now, and a lot of the space.
This is literally, I feel like, I feel like I got caught up, I'm at the family reunion and I went into the living room and the aunts and uncles and grandparents are sitting around chatting, and they asked me what I'm into right now, right? Like they asked me, "What are you doing?" It's like, "Oh, I got a little stream on Twitch." "Oh, that's nice. What do you talk about?" "I talk about AI," and then this, then exactly fucking this. This.
Places that we work in 10 years from now are going to look completely different because of AI, and white collar workers across the country, as Jim said, are going to be deeply impacted.
Well, so Jim, tell me how exactly will this affect like our business? So will we still have copy editors, reporters, bosses? What do you say?
For journalism, I don't think that the machines are going to do the journalism per se. But if you play with it at all, you realize it's going to be a really good copy editor.
If anybody ever busts out per se, it's like you cover your butthole.
It's going to be a really good marketer. It's going to be really good at doing research. It's going to be really good at doing marketing. It's going to be really good at taking any piece and maybe creating 8 different variations to send it out to all the other platforms. And that's what I would encourage people to do is play with it, assuming that the hallucinations and the errors go away. Because there are times where it is truly magical. Truly magical. And if that were to happen with a human level efficacy, anybody running a company, I'm telling you, as someone who runs a company, they're always going to choose automation because they're going to believe that over time it's going to make their company more profitable and it's going to create more jobs. And that might be true, and that often is true with technology, that in the long arc, it creates more jobs. What's different here is this is a technology that could hit hard in the next 6 to 18 months, and it's going to hit every single role potentially simultaneously. And something that fast with that kind of breadth could have a much bigger effect than almost any of the topics that they're debating on Capitol Hill. And when you talk to members of Congress.
And this is why, like, I have been on this for a minute, is time is not the metric. time is not how you should be. Like, where are we gonna, when are we gonna do this? A year, year and a half, 5 years, 10 years? No, it's about capabilities. And every time you fucking turn around, there's an increase in the capabilities. If the capabilities continue to build up in the way that they have been, it could be fucking tomorrow, right? Like, but if they don't, right, then we hit the sigmoid. And maybe we plateau. And then we have a chance to catch our breath and get our shit together. We won't know until after the fact, right? Like, that's the thing. You don't know if we're in a sigmoid curve or if we're in an exponential. Oh, excuse me, right? And we won't know until it's too late.
It's alarming how little they know about this topic and how little and how infrequently they talk to their constituents about it. You're doing a disservice to the country if you're not starting to think through what does the world look like in 18 months to 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, let's say you have 40 or 50 people in your company with AI. Most white-collar companies, you could hire 4 or 5 people that know the right prompts to ask the right prompts of AI, and it would cover so much of that work. And you are right.
Do you know how to do the prompts? I saw on TV you have to know how to do the prompts. Can you do the prompts? That's important with the AI. You have to be able to do the good prompts. Thanks, Joe.
This is a 5-alarm fire, and Congress is sleeping. Co-founder and CEO of Axios, Jim Van Dyke, thank you so much. And
they just cut it off. It's like the typing pool jobs. It's like all the things. So we're going to talk about the self-driving trucks in Texas. It's a more perfect union video. We chased driverless trucks in Texas. What we saw will scare you. What the fuck kind of fucking title is that? First of all, why are you chasing the driverless trucks? That's weird. Second, why are you giving me the clickbait, what we saw will scare you? We're going to find out together.
This highway has a secret.
So we're here on I-45 in Palmer, Texas, just south of Dallas. We are on the lookout for a new invention that could potentially upend one of the largest industries in America. That invention, a driverless truck.
Driverless semi-trucks are now operating in Texas.
No one behind the wheel of a huge semi-truck. The company Aurora launched service this week. My heart is just palpitating thinking about this.
Aurora Innovation and several of their competitors have been using I-45 as a testing ground to prove a single point. They don't need drivers.
Well, it's going to be a catastrophe.
We are on the verge of a new era in trucking.
I mean, this is truly transformational technology.
And it's coming for your job, too.
More jobs are lost through automation than they are through trade deals.
A robot comes into a factory, workers go away.
Robots could soon put together your next grocery order.
Many office jobs even.
The job you have today ain't going to be here in 10 or 15 years.
Tell him, Bernie.
To the company, why do you need everything automated?
So, we came to Texas to witness the revolution for ourselves.
Every load that one of these driverless trucks take is a load that's being taken away from a driver.
We spent time with truck drivers talking about what this means for them.
I kind of am one of the last of the cowboys. We are truly a dying breed of people.
And find out how ready our roads and our society are for this change.
Have we done a good job of addressing the policy questions that need to be answered in order to successfully develop this to maximize the benefits of it? I think absolutely not.
This tech is coming. I mean, it's here now. But is there a way to make it work for us instead of against us?
It's all happening right here. Buckle up.
With resource distribution. It's the only fucking solution. Everything else is bullshit. I'm sorry. Everything else is bullshit. Resource distribution. This is your... Yeah, no, Maddie, I was annoyed as shit by that fucking back and forth audio nonsense. That was fucking.
We're heading out. So right now we're just parked right across the first transfer hub from Aurora Innovation. This is where they're going to be launching the driverless trucks out of.
Aurora Innovation was started in 2017 by 3 Silicon Valley heavyweights. Chris Urmson, who previously led Google's self-driving car project that spun off into Waymo. Sterling Anderson, who led the development of the Tesla Autopilot and Model X. And Drew Bagnell, who worked on autonomous innovation at Uber. Aurora does not actually make trucks. They make what's called the Aurora Driver. It's a combination of software, like AI, machine learning, and training simulations, and hardware, like radar, LiDAR, and cameras, that work together to create and inform the Aurora Driver.
The Aurora Driver is going to be essential to our customers. It's going to allow them to build more revenue while having lower costs.
And they are not alone. Companies like Wabi, Plus AI, and Kodiak are all in the race to create driverless trucks. But Aurora is the big one, and they said they'd be ready to launch by the end of April 2025.
All right, and there she goes. We got drivers in it, which is a little bit unfortunate for us, but it's good for anybody that's still.
Okay. So, baby, I just met you. This is crazy. Here's my number. Call me baby. Thank you for the follow. This person in the truck, they were originally in the back of the truck, chilling. Right? Just there, just in case something came up and you needed someone in order to, like, take over, right? Something along those lines. One of the clients of Aurora asked them to put someone in the driver's seat. That's a client request. It is an important distinction because people will tell you, oh, it's an autonomous truck, but it still needs a person, etc., etc. The client requested this, not, the thing. Yeah? What did you do, Larry?
Companies, you could hire 4 or 5 people that know the right prompts to ask the right prompts of AI, and it would cover so much of that work. And you are right.
Do you know how to do the prompts? I saw on TV you have to know how to do the prompts. Can you do the prompts? That's important with the AI. You have to be able to do the good prompts. Thanks, Joe.
This is.
Follow me. I'm delicious. I'm firing this one off as is. Maddie, yours is good. I just, like you said, I have to edit it.
You can hire 4 or 5 people that know the right prompts to ask the right prompts of AI, and it would cover so much of that work. And you are right.
Do you know how to do the prompts? I saw on TV you have to know how to do the prompts. Can you do the prompts? Come on, TikTok. That's
Caller companies.
Shush.
You could hire
Shush,
4.
Joe. Shush. Oh, Billy, the prompts. Back in my day, this was all penny whistles and moon pies, and now you have to do the prompts. Way past his sell-by date at this point.
A company that you're talking to or an issue that you're talking about better. It is Elizabeth. It is the future. The future is now, and a lot of the space.
This is literally. I feel like. I feel like I got caught up. I'm at the family reunion. Thank you, Maddie. I was hoping. I went into the living room. And the aunts and uncles and grandparents are sitting around chatting. And they asked me what I'm into right now, right? Like they asked me, what are you doing? It's like, oh, I got a little stream on Twitch. Oh, that's nice. What do you talk about? I talk about AI, and then this, then exactly fucking this. This.
Places that we work in 10 years from now are going to look completely different because of AI.
That's a good one. Y'all are great. I appreciate you. His sell by date at this point. Shush, Globus. Nobody wants to hear from you. All right.
Needs a job, and we're going to be following it all the way down to Houston. So. The truck that we're following right now, even though there's a safety driver and a technician in it, the safety driver is basically just holding their hands right next to the wheel in case there's any erratic motions. It's still driving itself.
Aurora and other companies have been testing on I-45 in Texas like this for years.
Texas is ground zero for it because they have a really permissive regulatory environment here. And this specific stretch of road is one of the densest freight corridors in America. And there's a lot of money to be made here.
And obviously, that money has to come from somewhere.
Major changes to these industries will have major impact on
There'll
jobs.
be a massive depletion of truck driving opportunities.
Driving for a living is the single most
Yeah, I mean, it's autopilot. It's self-driving vehicle. Right? It's what autopilot wants to be. Right? Aurora is apparently very good. You know, and that's the key, Droid Specialist, is there's some flaws in the construction of the Tesla that makes its autopilot not as good, right? Like, and that is one of them. The LiDAR is key.
common job for high school.
Why are we listening to Tucker Carlson?
Educated men in this country.
So is Aurora going to have a driver in the truck of an autonomous vehicle? No, they're not. So they are going to take jobs.
Robert and Chris are with the Teamsters Local 988, representing truckers in Texas. Their union hall is just a few miles from Aurora's terminal in Houston.
So before deregulations, truck driving was considered a very good paying middle-class job. You could raise a family on it.
But that's not so true anymore.
There's a trope in trucking, it was always better before.
The trucking industry has changed to the point where I don't recognize it anymore.
They all felt as though they were betrayed by the government for the Motor Carrier Act.
We actually made a whole video on the Motor Carrier Act of 1980 and just how much it changed these jobs.
And today we're looking at why truckers can't make a living.
The advent of self-driving trucks, in my view, is actually the end point of a long series of technologies that have caused a decline in wages and working conditions.
Steve Viselli has been studying the industry for over a decade.
What that led to was very high turnover. And so those experienced drivers who were used to those good wages and good working conditions said, essentially, hell no, I'm not going to do that. And so this is where the driver shortage narrative comes from.
A major shortage of truck drivers in the
Shortage of truck drivers.
There's actually not enough truck
the
drivers.
The industry is approaching.
MPU, stop with the fucking back and forth audio, dude.
A breaking point.
Now, there isn't a shortage of truck drivers. We have 3 times the number of folks with a license to drive a truck than the trucks that need to be operated. It's because of this turnover in the industry. In some years, as many people are trained for those jobs as the number of jobs themselves, meaning we have almost 100% turnover of people entering the industry and leaving it every year.
But this driver shortage narrative is how Aurora has been justifying its work.
The trucking industry has faced and continues to face.
Oh, you can fiddle with stuff in OBS to make it happen. It's just hardly ever a problem. So it's not worth doing all that. Usually the only thing that I have to deal with is variations in volume, not whatever this bullshit is that they've, some person thought they were fucking clever.
A structural challenge with not having access to enough drivers.
We're delivering a scalable, stable driver supply.
They're not addressing a shortage because there isn't one. There's never been one. There's a shortage of willingness to invest in people and pay them better.
Correct. What they really should be saying is we're going to run the freight for a lot cheaper than it would be to have a meat-in-the-seat driver.
Aurora has made some very serious claims about what their technology, the Aurora driver, can do.
In the U.S. alone, 6,000 people die in accidents with trucks on our freeways. The Aurora driver can drive that number to 0.
Now, they're going to guarantee that they're going to have no fatalities through any one of their driverless trucks. I'm willing to bet on that.
Because the Aurora driver has been tested without public oversight or regulation, a lot of their claims are hard to prove.
The Aurora driver will change lives.
One thing is clear though, this is positioned to take jobs.
Human drivers are limited to 11 hours a day. The Aurora driver should be able to almost double that, if not more.
There are a lot of types of trucking jobs. One of them is called line haul trucking.
These are some of the best jobs in trucking. These are over-the-road drivers moving from motor carrier terminal to motor carrier terminal.
That's essentially what Aurora is hoping to prove it can do with the Dallas to Houston route.
They've been running that same route for years now. And so that's really how it's going to roll out for these better jobs, is those ones that go along a particular lane, right, between an origin and destination, those are going to be the ones that get automated next.
There was a little bit of feeling of accomplishment of getting done purpose, delivering stuff. I mean, over the years, I've hauled a lot of different freight.
Will Cook is a truck driver. We brought him along with us to see more tests of the Aurora driverless truck.
So Chris Urmson told investors,
I very much look forward to the day when every truck here on I-45 is driven by Aurora.
What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, where's all these people going to go to work? I mean, look how many trucks we're passing right now. Where are these people going to go to work?
Aurora and their partners, though, claim all of this is actually good for drivers.
We feel like this will help develop a better job, a better career for our drivers.
These line haul jobs that they're taking, I'm telling you, guys stay on a list to get these line haul jobs. Well, why is there a list? There ain't a list to get in and do local work.
This is the way that things are looking now. Aurora is training for that line haul job. It's getting good at highway driving, but driving off the highway, where the variables are different, is harder. So a human driver on either side of the Aurora driver's journey will do what is called the first and last mile. Those jobs are often paid less, and are already on their way to being automated too.
Those are really policy questions as to whether or not we have two really good truck driving jobs on either end of that autonomous trip, or some of the worst jobs out there in many ways.
I find it hard to believe that representatives aren't screaming at the top of their lungs about, hey, we need to find out what these people.
Oh, my sweet summer child. Like, I'm sure Brent Taylor is hard as nails. He just looks like a guy who could, like, tear a fridge door off. You know what I mean? He looks like he's seen some shit. But
people are doing.
This is Brent Taylor. He's the vice president of the Southern region for the Teamsters.
You know, to take away their driving job and giving it to an automated system overnight, basically, would be devastating to a lot of families.
Texas has been a haven for these companies to develop and test their driverless trucks, unregulated. But
welcome to fucking Texas, baby. You should have been paying attention.
A new bill in Texas legislature is hoping to stop that.
But at the end of the day, we need human oversight in these vehicles.
HB 4402 requires a human operator to be physically present in any automated commercial vehicle, which could mean protecting jobs, at least in the short term.
And these companies are lying to the general public, saying, no, it's going to create jobs. It's not going to create enough jobs to make, especially the money that these drivers make.
The Texas bill is just
100%.
one of a handful of bills in state legislatures across the country finally taking on this industry. That is, if the federal government doesn't get in the way.
Big corp trying to save money, and I get that. I'm not anti-corporation, but at some point we're going to have to start looking at this and deciding how our country's going to address it when it comes to jobs.
So, does the arrival of self-driving trucks have to mean total job loss? Is there any hope at all?
The impacts are not baked into the technology itself. Oftentimes you have people say, what are self-driving trucks going to do to truck drivers? Self-driving trucks aren't going to do anything to truck drivers. Their employers are going to do something to truck drivers. The people who operate, these trucks are the ones making that decision.
In his report, Steve laid out a number of ways this technology.
Yeah, I mean, fucking T-minus, you're closer to what's going on than I am, and you could absolutely be correct, right? I assume that weather is going to play a major factor. The jobs that Like, if this does prove successful, those jobs are going to move to more inclement areas, right? Snow, especially snow. Snow is, I think, going to be the biggest challenge to these self-driving systems, right? Like 100%. Both the falling snow throws off the LiDAR, the variable road conditions, shit like that. Like that's, no. You might have a better idea of what's happening. And ultimately, we're going to find out either way. I would just not be surprised. You know what I mean? Exactly. Key and Peele. Everything, all roads lead to Scotland, James Burke having a drink, and Key and Peele.
Technology could affect the labor supply, from replacing drivers completely to working in collaboration with them. One of the more hopeful scenarios is called
platooning. So in this scenario, you would have a human driving that lead truck, and then you would have autonomous trucks behind it. That same driver is now able to move 2 or 3 times the amount of freight that they were before. And the advantage is that they're there in case, the environment should have some condition that the truck is unclear about, whether it be weather, an accident,
And that's it right there, right? The accidents, this is one of those things, is that the self-driving vehicles are going to be driven by the insurance companies. You know what I mean? As the self-driving cars improve and begin to take over more and more, driving jobs and just people's general commutes, then it's going to, it's going to become more and more expensive to insure your human-driven vehicle. And then that'll be it, right? It's just once the AI hits the actuary tables, that's the game. I mean, you can always be a hitchhiker. The rules are there are no rules, and it depends on the municipality. And like on one hand, you could have the best time of your life, and on another hand, you could get picked up by the cop who thinks you're a transient and offers you to come to their church and learn about Jesus. And on another hand, you could this the fuck appear. You know what I mean?
A blown tire.
And this example, he says, could actually lead to upskilling instead of de-skilling and higher wages for more specialized drivers.
And
driverless hitching, we would have to care about people in this country, Maddie. We don't care about people, so driverless hitching is not a thing. The companies aren't going to want you touching their trucks. The governments aren't going to want you hitchhiking in the first place, because hitchhiking means you're not a productive member of society, etc., etc. Yeah, exactly. Right? Like, that's the thing. What up, Oxpecker? Lack of social safety nets to automation replacing so many people just instantly makes my brain think of everything getting more expensive and all of our paychecks remaining the same in areas trying to legally make it impossible for the homeless to exist anywhere. Demanding a higher minimum wage or UBI is lazy Americans asking for handouts. The people responsible for nobody having money. Correct. 100% correct. Right? Like, and this is why I don't want to hear people's arguments about fucking, like, that we can prevent this from happening somehow. This is happening. We need to pursue the UBI angle. And fuck it, I am the guy who says, yeah, all jobs should be automated. You might enjoy driving truck. You might enjoy fucking doing hydraulic engineering. You might enjoy whatever the fuck it is that you do. But you shouldn't have to do it in order to survive.
What we need to do is we need to see this technology as a tool.
Correct,
and we need to
Samsons.
decide what it does. Is it going to make our highways safer? Is it going to make trucks...
And that's a fundamental contradiction that's going to... Shit's going to come to a screaming halt, or people are going to fucking run their pockets and pony up the cash. I'm not saying that initial fucking UBI is going to be whatever. It might not be that great. But they're going to have to do something. Otherwise, you're going to have people with too much time on their hands and children with hungry bellies. And it don't take much to make that calculus.
Jobs better? Is it going to help us to fight climate change? Is it going to help us to have more efficient infrastructure? Rather than assuming that the technology is going to decide what impacts it has, we as a democratic society should decide what those priorities are, and we should put this tool to work achieving those goals.
Just a few days after we filmed their test run, Aurora officially launched their driverless truck. And a few days later, they put a human back in the cab. And the next steps for Aurora are obvious. They want to expand through the Sun Belt and other states with lax.
At the very beginning, we talked about the goddamn person in the truck, right? I told you. And then More Perfect Union said they put a driver back in the cab. With the implication that the AI isn't as good as is claimed, right? That's what that implication. But there's a reason why they put a person back in the truck. And I know what the reason is, because I fucking read the article. And I did it on stream. And you should be here in the morning when we cover articles. Usually around 10:30, 11 o'clock Eastern, Monday through Friday. If you would prefer the videos, it's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at about 5 p.m. Eastern. Thank you.
Regulations. They want to expand to local delivery and passenger vehicles. They want to dominate the market.
We look at this market and we just see it as Aurora's to lose.
This isn't the first time that a radical new technology reshaped the labor market. In the Industrial Revolution, machines powered by steam and coal transformed society, often at the expense of workers. Today's drivers are much like the folk heroes of the early 20th century, figures from songs and legends like John Henry.
John Henry was the best steel driver,
who represented the struggle of workers fighting to prove their value against.
And he died. Right? John Henry beat the machine and died doing so. You have to read the whole story, bro. It's not just the one part. Like there's important details
against these new machines.
And then here comes a man with a steam drill. The legend speaks of this race taking place between John Henry and the machine.
I saw this YouTube of a Budweiser.
See? Word has it the machine wasn't overly bothered. Oh, fuck me running.
Truck being driven by a driverless truck, and it was like this visceral fear that gripped me, and I really felt like, okay, this must be what John Henry felt like when the steam-driven hammering machines came out and his job was on the line, and so I did write a song called The Ghost of John Henry.
I saw the... No, absolutely, Larry, absolutely. Like, we've already seen people putting the the parking cones on top of Waymos as a way to, like, protest against them. It's only a matter of time before they introduce legislation that if you interfere with the operation of a self-driving car, that you're, like, in violation of some fucking, like what? I don't know. Harassment or vandalism, right? Some kind of vandalism charge kind of thing. And remember, the car has a fucking camera on it.
The ghost of John Henry. He was cackling through his chain. He said you may beat the machine one time.
Well, I guess if it promotes people wearing mass textilian, it ain't all bad.
They're gonna kill you just the same.
Hi, thank you for watching. If you like this story and
yeah, bud. All right, y'all. It has been some time. I am beat. I am gonna raid you out somewhere. Stick around for the raid, please and thank you, even if you have someplace you'd already rather be. I will be back tomorrow morning to do the thing. I'm gonna take you over to one of my favorite philosophers on Twitch. That's where we are. Right. Stick around for the raid. Kick. We're on Kick. Right? Fucking follow me on all of the socials and everything else. Yeah. Obviously done. Obviously done. I appreciate you all. Y'all have been fantastic. I've been Globus. And in the meantime, drink your water, eat some food, take your meds if you've forgotten. Always remember that Chuggy loves you. So do I. Be great.
Leave all the theology? I don't know.